Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Complete Sports Media's podcast. I'm your host, Darren Campbell. And joining me here today, this is a special episode, actually. Today, we're going to get Jason Cameron to come in, talk about the world of sports, and then we're going to have Barry Grant Jr. joining us to do an NFL preview along with Jason. So this is going to be a fun podcast today. Can't wait, Jason. Thanks for joining me.
No, it's been great. I'm looking forward to it. And here we go.
Here we go. So Labor Day, happy Labor Day to you. This is kind of the unofficial end to summer in a lot of people's minds. What about yourself?
Yeah, I guess so. Like if I had children and stuff, then it would definitely signify the end. It is what it is. So yeah.
How was your weekend?
Weekend was very good, pretty quiet, very low key. How was yours?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, we had a medium busy weekend. Went to the P&E again yesterday for another concert. Really amazing band called Walk Off the Earth. They're a Canadian band. It's been going for about 10 years, and man, they're great to see live. They're just such a fun band and great concert they put on. So we had a blast.
Oh, nice, man. It's always good to see hear some music.
Yeah. Looking forward to the week ahead. This should be a fun week. NFL season's kicking in. My dad arrives the same day. We're going to go golfing, him and I, and hang out. So that'll be fun. Looking forward to that. So busy week ahead. Can't wait for it. I want to dedicate this podcast a little bit to the memory of Jimmy Buffett. Very big sports fan, passed away on the weekend from skin cancer at the age of 76, and a lot of great songs and a really good tie to sports. He was such a big lover of sports, was a huge lover of the Saints, the Heat, the Dolphins, many teams out there. I remember seeing him celebrate with all the guys when the Saints won the Super Bowl, and I saw him getting kicked off the court in Miami for some transgressions once, and singing the national anthem many times, and a big sports fan that's going to be greatly missed by many people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And also, too, obviously, there's a need to say about his music as well, because he entertained all of us across the globe with his music.
Yeah. He was a legendary fan of the Saints, the Heat, Dolphins, the Cubs. Endured a lot of losing seasons there with the Cubs. Southern Miss, I guess, where he went. And yeah, so that was sad news. Lost a 4-year battle with skin cancer. So that's tough. I guess for me, the biggest story of the sporting weekend was Canada finally qualified again for the basketball Olympics. First time since 2000. I got up super early yesterday to watch the game. They had a must-win game against Spain, and it went back and forth, crazy game. Ended up winning 88-85. Punching their ticket to the quarterfinals in the World Cup and the Olympics berth next year in Paris. Man, it was nerve-wracking to watch. Early start, but glad I got up because it was fun to see them pull off this victory and finally get that berth that we wanted for many years.
Yeah, that was awesome to see. I saw some of the highlights, and like you said, it was a very, very close battle between the two teams, but great to see that we won. Could have made it a lot easier on ourselves if we just won against Brazil.
Yeah.
But no, we like doing it the hard way.
Yeah, the game against Brazil made me so angry. I was swearing. I was contemplating throwing things at the screen. I couldn't believe how much they messed up there. I thought Jordi Hernandez had sat his stars way too long. They had a 12-point lead heading into the fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden the guys were sitting, and Brazil ended up catching up, and then Canada, once they brought their starters back in, they just seemed out of sync. It was a pretty terrible game. The score was 69-65, and there was nothing going on. It was just really, really, really slow. And I was like, what the hell are you doing? He played so many guys that shouldn't have been there in such a really important game. They should have just been able to close them out. And then honestly, it didn't really matter if they beat Spain or not if they had won that Brazil game. So they put a ton of pressure on themselves with some really poor management and a poor game plan. I thought they had been averaging 120 something points a game, and then they were held to 65 against Brazil. It was really frustrating and bothersome, but glad they turned it around yesterday and had such a good game against Spain. They were down 10 at the half. They were down 12 after 3. And then they went on a really, really great run. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was lights out. He had 30. Dylan Brooks, even though I really don't like this guy, he was a menace on the boards, great on D. He scored 22 points himself. Was one of the biggest reasons why they won. RJ Barrett contributed, but it was a lot better effort from Canada there and made me happy to see them pull off the victory.
Yeah, definitely I was super happy that they pulled off the victory. But going back to the Brazil game, I thought it was a typo because I'm like, what is that? That's some sort of 90 score, like some sort of throwback basketball. It was super weird to see. But I'm just elated that they managed to get through and they're going forward.
Yeah. This is the first time since 2000 Canada's been in the Olympics of basketball. Steve Nash was their point guard. One of their other guards was Rowan Barrett, RJ Barrett's dad. Supposedly growing up, RJ Barrett always had to see his dad's Olympic jersey on the wall, staring him in the face, and he was always bugging him about it. Supposedly, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's mom was an Olympian, and she rubbed it in his face all the time. Yeah, you could say you've done a lot of stuff, but you've never been in the Olympics. I have, and so now these guys, as long as they're healthy, can both play in the Olympics next summer in Paris. It's going to be great. It's been way too long of a wait, and finally we've got a solid team that really can compete. I think could make the podium if they can, put it all together.
Oh, definitely. They got a strong enough team to do all of that. Yeah, they definitely have a strong enough team to do all of that. But you know what? It to me, what the tournament for me was just to see like the overall quality of the players have risen across the globe, and it's great to see that. Because the evolution of basketball needs everybody to do that, and it's cool to see that all the players, their skills have just gotten that much better.
The Americans are always the favorite going into all these tournaments. They had they had entry into the quarterfinals no matter what yesterday, but still they were beat by Lithuania yesterday, 110-104, which is kind of a shock to everyone. But there's been a lot of upsets in this tournament. France got knocked out, Spain's been knocked out now. Lots of big powerhouses knocked out. Lithuania used 7 different players getting double figures. 2 other guys got 9, and US was led by Anthony Edwards with 35. But yeah, it's strange to see the Americans losing there in the last game of the second stage. But the quarterfinals go tomorrow. First game's Lithuania, Serbia, first thing in the morning, and then US plays Italy, second game. It's also early in the morning too. Canada plays on Wednesday. First game is Germany, Latvia, and then the second game is Canada against Luka Doncic and Slovenia. 5:30 a.m. Pacific. So either PVR or get up early like crazy guys like me and watch Canada. Hopefully we can go forward into the semifinals. Slovenia will be a tough test, but hopefully Canada's learned a lot and can keep playing as well as they did. 4-1 in that opening 5 games is terrific.
No, it's fantastic record. Yeah. But they're definitely going to have a tough test for the rest of the way.
Oh yeah. There was some news that came down today that was pretty shocking. one of the players had to have his kidney removed after being elbowed on a basketball game on Wednesday. It was against South Sudan, and one of the players went down in a heap, had to be taken to the hospital, had his initial surgery, I believe, on Thursday. It didn't go very well, and had to have the second surgery yesterday, and had to have his kidney removed. The guy's name is Borisa Simeniak, and he's from Serbia, and obviously won't be able to continue this tournament. But you don't think about basketball being that brutal, where a guy actually has to lose his kidney over it.
I think that's the first. I don't know if that's ever happened before in professional sports that I've heard of from basketball. No doubt that somebody lost their kidney from that. Like that must have just been a weird sequence of events for that to even happen.
Yeah, so strange. I cornered a guy who lost his kidney after a fight once. The guy had been hitting him in the back, and while he was prone on the ground, and later on, they had to take his kidney out because it was too damaged.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Like you just wouldn't think that from whatever is happening on a basketball court that you would hurt yourself so much that you'd lose an organ in your body.
No, brutal, huh? Okay. Messi Magic was still at it on the weekend. Tons of stars keep turning up now. This has really started to become the place to be. Go to wherever the Miami Inter Miami FC plays. They were against LA this time, so lots of stars around, but it was Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Selena Gomez, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jason Sudeikis, Mario Lopez, the rapper Tyga, Owen Wilson, on and on and on. Will Ferrell, lots of guys that were there. It was pretty big. Messi had a great game as well. Had one good shot, incredible save by the goalie, but he set up two beautiful goals with some amazing passes, and Miami was able to get a victory again. And holy cow, they're marching on. It's a long shot for them to make the playoffs, but if they do, it'll be just incredible to see this team and see who they could upset in the playoffs if they keep going forward.
Yeah, obviously. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, do you know what their record is right now? Because
pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Yeah, they're near the bottom. They're one of the lowest teams in the MLS standings, but they have been obviously undefeated with him in there, but they're not anywhere close right now to the playoffs, but there's still a fair amount of games left, so
okay, so there's a chance. I love the fact that he's come in as that white knight and has rode in on his magnificent white horse and is just like, no, I'm actually that good. Now we don't lose anymore.
I know.
I just find that absolutely amazing that he's that supremely talented. And by the way, he's actually on the downward slide of his career.
Yeah.
Doesn't really look like it, but he is.
Yeah.
And he's still that good, still that dominant.
So they're sitting second worst in the East, just ahead of Toronto, who's by far the worst. They've got 7 wins, 4 ties, and 14 losses. But they are, 8 points back of 9th place. They've got an 8-9 wild card play-in game that they do in the MLS, and so that's DC United. But they do have 2 games on hand on Chicago, on DC and Montreal, who are sitting in 8th and 9th. So there's a chance. If they go undefeated and either one of those teams stumbles, they could probably make it in there. Nashville is sitting in 7th in a guaranteed playoff position at this point, and they're 15 points ahead. So it's a long shot, but it's becoming a must-watch TV, and it's bringing out amazing amount of stars and a lot of media and publicity that the MLS just really hasn't had.
Yeah, oh, definitely, man. Like he just because of the stature of who Lionel Messi is. That's number one, and number two, David Beckham must be just supremely elated. It's like, oh, we could win games, and we could definitely win games with
Yeah,
Messi.
yeah. F1 season rolled on this weekend. Yesterday's race, same old, 10th straight victory by Max Verstappen. And no driver in F1 history has won 10 races on his own in a row. Incredible feat. And yeah, no end in sight. Red Bull finished 1-2 again. Huge lead in the standings for Red Bull, for Max and Sergio, and yeah, they are just so dominant. It's crazy. Ferrari was the country. They're in Italy, and Ferrari. Everyone wanted Ferrari to do well. They finished. They had the pole position heading in first and third, and Max ended up passing into first and running away with it as always. Ferrari ended up finishing third and fourth, but it's super dominant and. Some people hate it. Some people love it. I've said this before on our podcast. Sometimes it's good for the sport and sometimes not. But there's nothing anybody can do about it. He's going to win, and he's just super dominant these days.
Yeah, it's quite impressive just how dominant they are, and the fact that the race is pretty much over, right? Like there's nobody that can catch him at this point in time, right?
No.
No.
I think it's no. I don't think he's mathematically clinched it, but basically, like I just don't. Yeah, it's really, yeah. I mean, it's the surest bet you could bet any money you ever had on it, on him doing it, and he's got it.
Yeah, that's what I imagine, man. And hey, you know what? A lot of those other teams, they got to go back to the drawing board, because if they don't want to get smashed into the dirt again next season.
Yeah,
something's got to change.
They got to figure it out. Yeah, definitely, they got to figure it out. U.S. Opens happening in Flushing Meadow, New York. Big upset yesterday. Iga Swiatek was knocked out. She was the number one seed. The top two men's singles players are Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic, and they're on a collision course again to meet in the final. It looks like it's inevitable. It'll be exciting because Carlos is the up-and-comer, and Novak's trying to hold him off, win another Grand Slam. It's going to be fun. Can't wait. A little more than, I guess, a little more than a week away for the final. It's going to be great.
Yeah, no, that's going to be awesome to see. See if the young guy can get one over on Djokovic, or Djokovic is still obviously still top of the mountain. Get himself another win.
Yeah. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier off the top, we've got the NFL season kicking off on Thursday. Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Detroit Lions. Should be a great game. A good way to kick off the season. Lots of talk about Chris Jones still not signing, so we're going to get into a lot of football talk when Barry joins us. Kadarius Toney has been limited with injury, and they're not sure if he's 100% going to play this week, but lots of great games coming up Sunday. Lots of talk about the big Monday nighter with Aaron Rodgers facing the Buffalo Bills with the New York Jets, and some signings today. Lots of other stuff like that. CFL Labor Day weekend, always a big thing here in Canada. BC Lions got a big victory on Friday against the Montreal Alouettes. Great to see Vernon Adams playing so well, and after two straight losses, nice to see the Lions bounce back and get a good victory there.
Yeah, no, that's great that the Lions can bounce back from that. Get a great victory, and it's good to see that our quarterback Adams is playing well.
Okay, let's talk about the UFC. We had a early card again from Paris, France, and the UFC stacked 9 fighters from Paris on the card. Out of the 20 fighters, 9 of them were French, and that sure excited the crowd. Crowd were into it right from the very start. cheering everything that any one of their French fighters did. And they had ended up having 7 out of the fighters win. One of the fighters on the early prelims lost, and then they actually had to have 2 French fighters face each other because they had some fighters drop off the card. So that was a little bit too bad that had to be the case. One of them had to lose, but yeah, they sure embraced it, and it was a fun card. You could tell the energy was just super electric in there.
You could feel the energy. You could feel the energy as you was watching it, as I was watching it, and it was awesome. It was just awesome to see. Like, even from the first fight in the prelims, crowd was amazingly loud.
Yeah.
Like, it was super loud. They were super pumped, and that's always good to see that the fans were there appreciative of the UFC coming back after an extended period of time and them showing their love for the UFC.
Yeah, I loved it. It was really fun and great to see them back there. So they were treated to the return of Cyril Gane. Cyril was amazing in this fight, but there was questions about him because of a loss to Francis Ngannou, and then a loss to John Jones that was really not close at all. It was just a one-sided affair, and this was the return of Gane, where he looked like that menacing beast that really made people think that he had potential to be a long-term champion. He's so great at moving that huge body, and the power that he displays. He was able to just beat down Sergey Spivak, and this was like a guy fighting a kid. It was crazy, and Spivak is no joke, coming in at number 7 ranked in the division, but was no challenge really for Cyril on this day.
I'm always amazed at just how Gane is able to get his opponent to fight at his speed.
Yeah.
And he does it all the time. He does it all the time.
Yeah.
He just kind of lulls them into how he wants the fight to go, just at his speed. And so he just chipped away at Spivak. He chipped away at him, and he was great at mixing up his the intensity of his shots.
Yeah.
Some shots were light, other shots were hard. Spivak was trying to still gauge exactly what shots he should be wary of, which was all of them, by the way. It was all of them at the end of the day. And and he just picked them apart, especially going to the body, punches to the body, kicks to the body. And it was just a matter of time, man. Matter of time before he picked them apart and then dismantled them, really.
That was it. Yeah, he really did dismantle him. It was very, very one-sided affair, and it was just surprising. I thought Spivak would immediately go for takedowns and try to get the fight in his world, and it was not possible, and not the case at all. Tom Aspinall was one of the most hated men in the arena. Kind of called out Cyril, and it looks like that might be where he goes next. He's with the dominance with Jones. I don't think he deserves that immediate title shot, so that makes sense to me. Put him up against Aspinall.
Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely makes sense to me that they would do that and then have that winner fight whoever wins against Miocic and Jones. That's what makes sense to me because of just the way that Jones, he crushed him. He crushed him in the first fight. So, yeah, I think that's the way that they're going to go.
Okay, co-main event. This was a step up in weight for former title holder Rose Namajunas, and against a really tough opponent, the number 3 ranked Manon Fiorot, the Beast. And the Beast was unleashed on this day. She was by far, to me, the better fighter. She looked a lot bigger, a lot stronger. She looked a lot faster. Amazing takedown defense, and everything seemed to be on point. I'm going to give Rose a little bit of a pass with having such a brutal, bad, broken finger injury immediately that would have limited her. But I think this step up in weight was probably a wrong call, and especially against such a good opponent immediately. It just didn't work for Rose, and this was, to me, a pretty dominant win by Furio.
She was bigger than Rose, and I felt like she was more accurate with her strikes, and with the fact, like you just mentioned, that Rose was hampered by the fact that her pinky finger was absolutely destroyed, broken, and I think it was dislocated as well. I saw the picture of what it looked like after she took the glove off, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're definitely disadvantaged when your finger looks like that. All right,
let's take a look at the pinky. I got a picture of it.
Picture.
Do I? No, I don't. I thought I did.
Oh.
Shoot, you're probably a lot better off. It looked ugly. It was nasty. It was so bad. And I've had that before. I had a fight where my finger got caught on the side of the guy. I think it kind of got caught on his cheek and his ear, and it snapped and dislocated. And then I couldn't put a fist. I couldn't probably put a fist on, and I couldn't grab him because it was just like not there, and it was just screwed up. Yeah, and it's it doesn't seem like much to some people, a pinky, but man, it was tough for me, and she's in there for 15 minutes with someone. It had to been a really, really tough thing to have to endure.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like she couldn't even do like her takedowns properly, right?
No.
Because of the way her pinky was. All she could do was threaten the takedown. She couldn't really go through and follow through with the takedown. The other thing I wanted to mention too, which was talked about a little bit, where was her regular coach? I think a regular coach for Rose Namajunas I'm talking about, which was Trevor Whitman.
Oh.
Not in her corner.
Strange.
I thought that was rather odd.
Yeah.
But apparently, I think she may have changed camps for this particular fight.
Okay.
Now, I don't know why she did that. I don't know if she thought that because of her last fight with Esparza, that she blamed Trevor Whitman for that, which I don't know if you really can do that, because at the end of the day, you're the one in the octagon fighting.
Yeah.
Not your coach.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah, her performance against Esparza was, super terrible and absolutely brutal, and I was kind of shocked that they made the decision that they would. I don't remember hearing about leaving camp, but to move up in weight just didn't seem like the best move to combat what went wrong there.
No, because first off, Rose I thought was the perfect her weight. Stature is perfect for the division she was in. When I heard that she moved up in weight, I was like, because my first indication that she moved up in weight was the fact that she wasn't ranked.
Right. Yeah.
So
not at all. Yeah.
Hey, what's going on here? And then you find out that she moved up in weight, and I'm like, was she having a hard time making weight in the first place for her previous division? Which she might have.
Maybe.
But at the same time, you see a huge difference. I know it's just 10 pounds, but Fierro was just that much bigger than her.
Yeah.
And all of them are going to be like that now.
Yeah.
All the ladies are going to fight in that division are going to be like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's the division that she wants to stay in.
Yeah. I've seen her handle bigger fighters before, but this was just a very apparent thing. And it's rare when a fighter moves up in weight and faces top competition and wins. It's rare. I could probably show you about 5-6 examples of top level fighters fighting someone that's coming up in weight, and the one coming up in weight is successful. It doesn't happen very much, so it's a big risk, and it didn't pay off in this case for sure.
No, it's a huge risk, because not only are they possibly just as skilled as you, they're also bigger and stronger than you because they weigh heavier than you naturally.
Yeah. So Fiorio is next against Valentina Shevchenko, Alexa Grasso, the winner of that, which takes place in the coming weeks. So yeah, that's going to be great. Whoever she faces, you and I have talked heavily about Valentina Shevchenko being just one of the greatest fighters of all time, and probably both of us, if we had make a prediction, we would say she's probably going to retain the belt again, but well, you never know, I guess. But I think Furio's ready for whoever emerges from that battle.
Absolutely. She's absolutely proven that she's ready. She's ready for whoever comes out of that. And she's going to be fighting next, and that will probably be in the next couple of months, or maybe, hopefully, she might be able to fight just before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And the other opponent that I can see her fighting is Erin Blanchfield that we saw last week, and really who is emerging as a top talent. And if they want to both have a battle before instead of waiting quite a while, that might be a great great match for the UFC matchmakers to put together.
Yeah, especially like we don't know exactly how this battle between Shevchenko and Grasso is going to turn out. If there's going to be an extended period of time that the whoever the champ is can't fight, then they'll probably make that fight out.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the light heavyweight battle between Volkan Ozdemir and the new fighter making his UFC debut, Bogdan Gustov. Gustov came in very highly touted. He trains with Johnny Walker, coming in on a 4-fight winning streak, over 100 amateur boxing fights in his career, master of sport in MMA and boxing, and very highly touted coming in. But Volkan proved, hey man, there's different levels to this game. You might be coming in highly touted, but I'm the man here. And he landed some big shots. I think Felder or somebody just mentioned right before it, hey, his hands are pretty low, this guy. And then bam, he hit him on the chin, wobbled him, came in, hit him again, hit him a beautiful uppercut that took him down, jumped on him, took him back, took his back, got a rear naked choke, sunk in, forced the tap. There's levels to this game, and this guy came in, everybody was suspecting that he was going to be the man, and no, Ozdemir said, no, not quite yet, buddy. I'm the man here, and he got the big win.
Yeah, he did get the big win, and Gustov is a dangerous fighter because he has power. He has the ability to shut your lights out, but Ozdemir's been in there with the best of that division. So he has that experience. He knows what he needs to do. And he chipped away at him first with those massive legs of his, with those leg kicks. And then eventually, as you already pointed out, hit him a couple times. He was great with his counter left hooks, flattened him out, ground and pound, and then got the rear naked choke finish in the round one.
It was only his second career submission win. He's mostly known as a knockout artist. So, he's just able to, jump on it. Got a really good submission victory there, and is moving on. As I mentioned earlier, there was one fight on the card that had two French fighters. This is the one, featherweight battle between William Gomez and Yanis Kamarov. No, I'm saying that wrong.
Gamiri?
Say it again.
Gamori?
Yeah. All right. Good battle. Like this fight a lot. Tell me your thoughts of it.
Well, yeah. I thought that obviously that Gomez was getting best of Gamori. I thought he was definitely the first to strike, and it was working his kicks very well, especially in the first round. Ended that first round with a frenzy. Then in round two, very explosive punches. Almost finished him.
Yeah, with the guillotine choke, he had it close. Yeah, it seemed like it was sunk in there. I was surprised that the guy was able to get out of that. But unfortunately, this one ended on a really weird call by the referee. A low kick that seemed to be between the groin and the waist, hip level, and the referee thought that Gamori was faking it, and just said, no, if you're going to pretend that you got to groin strike here, the fight's over, this is done. And after many replays, they showed a lot. It looked like there was a glancing blow to his groin. I don't think he was faking it. This was a wrong call by an inexperienced referee, in my opinion. and a pretty crappy way to end this fight.
Yeah, it sucked because once he called off the fight for myself, I was like, well, what is he doing? Like he didn't even like talk to the fighter or anything. Like he
No.
just immediately called it off. And then I thought, wait, is he hurt enough that he couldn't fight him anymore? Like I was super confused.
Yeah.
I was very confused. And then finally, that's what happened. And then you figure it out, and you're like, no, man, it was a horrible call by that ref.
Yeah.
He ruined that fight, and I just feel bad for both competitors.
Yeah, that was just too bad for them. I was enjoying the fight, and yeah, there was, some low kicks there. They happen quite often in the sport, but yeah, it just did not seem to warrant a stoppage. And Gomez moves on. He's got his 11th win in a row, and good for him. But I feel bad for Jonas and not being able to continue. Yeah, pretty lousy way to end that, and hopefully there's something that can be done for Jonas with some kind of appeal or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should, you should be able to appeal something like that, because yeah, it seems wrong to get that loss over something that shouldn't have been called. So okay, let's fly through the rest. We're about 20 minutes away from Barry's appearance, so we'll have to go a little bit quickly. This is talk about the first fight of the main card: Morgan Scherer against Manolo Zucchini.
Yeah, it felt to me like both of them were very tentative at first, like trying to gauge each other's timing, trying to set traps. But then it was Scherer that finally got off, just went off. Three leg kicks to the body. I think it was one that was a straight leg kick with the shin, and then I think it was a teep kick, and then followed by yet another leg kick, but they were extremely accurate. Took his breath right out from him, and he could not continue. Those kicks must have been absolutely brutal, because it was. I thought it was a little bit unexpected that he got taken out like that, but it was three specific leg kicks right to the body, and then he had enough.
Yeah, well, yeah, you could see the one gave him pain, and then the second one knocked him down, and then just as he was trying to get up to engage, the third one came in, perfectly timed, perfectly aligned, and just bam, took him down to the ground, and he was in pain. Rich Mitchell came in, referee stopped it, and that was it. Huge first win for him. This was his 8th first round finish, and man, the crowd was just going bananas when he got that win. And yeah, I was very impressed with his brutality. He's called the last pirate, and he came in and yeah, took his booty and got the big win. It was yeah, very impressive performance there.
I know, super impressive performance. I was just gonna say though, the Thiago Moises and Saint Denis fight.
Yeah, dude, talk about it.
Yeah. So the Thiago Moises fight and Saint Denis fight was awesome, because Saint Denis was just basically, that man was on a search and destroy mission from the beginning of the first round into the second round. He did not let up off the gas. He showed us something a little bit different with the grappling and the takedowns. I believe by the time he got to round 2, he was 4 of 8 for takedowns. I just thought he was just a more determined fighter in this one, and the fact that he put the pressure on Moises. Moises tried to fight back and fire back. He did land some great shots on Saint Denis' chin, but Saint Denis was up to the challenge, and he bum rushed him and took him out, pretty much.
Yeah. He cut him with a brutal elbow earlier in the fight and left Moises a bloody mess. Got the big takedowns, but he kept going after the takedowns, kept going. It was in the second round, I made a note. This is a crazy war. This is awesome, man. And it was like a really stand up, just in the pocket, throwing lots and lots of really tough shots both guys were taking. But then the God of War, Saint Denis, ends up just unleashing a barrage of punches, finally forcing Lucas Pasakis to stop it. And yeah, again, the crowd, they were just so loud. And yeah, I did skip over that fight. I'm glad you wanted to mention it because it was great. He's got 100% finish rate, and he is just lethal and brutal. And I can't wait to see him fight again. He asked for, I think he asked for the winner between Gamrot and Fiziev. It was a little confusing the way the translator was going back and forth and stuff, but I think that's what he was asking for his next opponent.
Well, you know what? He doesn't shy away from the tough fights, then, does he?
No.
Because neither of those guys are easy. So
No.
I hope he gets what he wants, because at least the one thing that you know about Saint Denis, you're going to see a war.
Yeah.
He's coming for war. He's coming for war.
I always love that they mention he was special forces guy, because then you're just like, okay, yeah, this guy's gonna be really tough. Those they don't have any guy that's just a wimp coming from those type of special forces from any country.
No, of course not, because they kind of fight on a different level, which is it's either you die or I die.
Yeah,
So it's a little different.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, talk about the Callan Loughran Taylor Lapalus fight, the bantamweight battle that was the feature fight on the prelims.
Lapalus, I thought right away, obviously the faster fighter. His striking was so accurate.
Yeah.
Speed of his punches were so fast. And straight punches too, no looping things, no looping shots. I think Loughran had a hard time dealing with that speed. He was able to close distance and get him up against the cage and try to grapple him to the ground, but he found that very hard to complete. I think he only got him to the mat maybe twice, 3 times in that entirety of that fight. Most of the time, Lapalus defended those takedowns perfectly. And even when Loughran did get him down to the ground, he did not stay there long. Lapalus did not stay grounded for long. And Loughran really didn't do much when he did get his opportunities, he did get his chances. He wasn't able to put on enough damage for the judges to go in his favor.
Yeah. He came in as the big heel. He said French MMA is absolute shit. And these guys suck, and I'll prove it. And yeah, he won 1 round, I believe, but Lapalus was the favorite and really dominated. I thought in quite a bit of the fight. When it was standing, he was the superior guy. Love when he was coming into the cage, the song "Coming Home." Everybody was singing it. I got chills. I was like, wow, that's a cool song to come into. And I just can't say enough about this French crowd. I've wondered if I want to spend much time in France over the years, because you hear how rude they are and they don't like English speaking people and this kind of stuff. But I think I would have loved to be in the arena that night.
Oh yeah, the energy was infectious. I would love that. I would love to feel that. And you could even tell, like, the infectiousness of the energy, you can tell it from the commentators and then how they commentate too. Yeah. And then that's how you know, like, that's a good arena and that's a good vibe in there.
I love seeing George St. Pierre cage side there too. Always a welcome addition, and always nice to see George there, and great to see him there. And Lapalus on a 6-fight win streak. Loughran undefeated no more, took his O away. It was crazy though that it was 7 years since his last UFC performance. He was 3-1 in the UFC, and they cut him back in 2016. 3-1, and they cut him. I'm amazed. And then took him 7 years to get back to the show. And yeah, they gave him a feature spot in the prelims, and he really took advantage of that and should be getting a nice solid contract moving forward.
I hope so, and hopefully if he actually ends up going 3-1 again, they just don't cut him immediately.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's good enough this time.
Pretty ruthless. Yeah, yeah. Okay, tell me what fight you'd like to focus on next out of the prelims. Anyone that you really need to make some mention of?
I wanted to mention actually the Losa versus McKee fight, just because I was really impressed with Losa. Losa looked absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
He had great takedowns, great timing on his takedowns. I thought his striking was really on point throughout the entirety of that fight.
Mhm.
Yeah, McKee did come on at the end of the round, and Losa had to dig deep to survive that onslaught from McKee. And I also, too, I want to say that McKee was definitely a gamer. He is
Yeah.
super tough. You really gotta. He's one of those guys. Either I gotta knock you out or I gotta submit you. If I don't do any of those things, you're just gonna keep coming at me. And he
Yeah.
most certainly did.
Yeah, they were almost, I think they were trying to start giving him a new nickname. His nickname is Skeletor, but they were trying to give him the Irish Zombie nickname because, yeah, he was absolutely getting hit with a lot of really brutal shots, but no quitting this guy. No, no, never say never. And he just kept coming. The last ninja just was better on this day, but yeah, for McKee to get it to a decision was super impressive in my mind. And yeah, this was a fun fight too.
No, it was a great fight. I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm telling you right now, I think Los is going to be a very big player in that division going forward. I think he has the
Yeah.
skills, the mindset to go forward in that.
That was a career high for him for takedowns, and he, really was incredible at just being the dog on the bone and making sure he was taking the fight to the ground. Really good late flurry by McKee, but a little bit too late for the judges' scorecards, and yeah, it was fun. Yeah, I think I'm done. Breaking this one down. What do you think?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, well, let's talk about this coming weekend's card. The UFC 293 from Sydney, Australia. I'm very excited about this. We've got the title fight. I want to see Israel Adesanya absolutely beat up Sean Strickland and send him packing. Doesn't deserve a title shot, in my opinion. Sure hope he's not the champion on Sunday morning. So, do you think Adesanya gets this done?
I believe he does. I believe he's just going to play it safe. Because if there's one thing that Strickland really doesn't do all that much, he doesn't really go for the takedowns.
Yeah.
Right? He'll go for it if it's there, but that's not really his game plan. And he's pretty stubborn in the way that he feels that he should go about doing things. So I expect him to stand up. And I expect Izzy just to pick him apart at distance.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Let's hope so. And yeah, I think this is a mismatch. If Adesanya comes in and fights his fight, it should be a no-brainer. Strickland's another super tough guy that can endure a beating if he's taking one, and has a really good puncher's chance. But Adesanya is the better man. If they fight 100 times, Adesanya wins 99 of them, I think. But there is always a chance. We've seen champions get beat in the last few years here, but yeah, this should go Adesanya's way. The co-main event was supposed to be Kai Kara France against Mano Cape, but France got hurt, so now the co-main is the heavyweight battle between Tai Tuivasa and Alexander Volkov. Tuivasa, huge fan favorite in Australia and in that part of the world. He comes in, gets a lot of KOs, but is coming in off 2 knockout losses himself. He got knocked out by Cyril Gane and Sergey Pavlovich. Those are the 2 losses right away. Volkov comes in 2 wins in a row. Alexander Romanov and Jairzinho Rosenstrike, both KO victories for him, and a 10-4 record. I'm definitely leaning towards Volkov taking this, but everybody's hoping for a shoey and seeing Tai Tuivasa getting a KO win. I think this fight doesn't go probably more than a round.
Yeah, 2 rounds at most. 2 rounds at most. I'm gonna go with the other guy. I'm gonna go with Tuivasa because I just want to see him do a shoey. And that's the only reason why I'm picking him. I'd like to see him do a shoe. So that's
nice. Yeah, as I said, Volkov's number 8 in the division, and he's Tuivasa is number 6 in the division. Volkov's number 8, but his UFC record's 10-4. His only losses are to Derek Lewis, Curtis Blades, Cyril Gahn, and Tom Aspinall. So, really tough competition. And he is a cheating Russian, but we can give him some props that he'll be tough out for Tuivasa in this one. Manel Kape will fight this card. They're bringing up a guy making his UFC debut, Felipe dos Santos. I like Kape. He unfortunately has had both the last 2 fights of his canceled. Davison Figueiredo, he was supposed to fight UFC 290 in July, and then Kai Kara France fell out. I'm glad they were able to find a quick opponent. Don't know huge amounts about Dos Santos coming in, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I'm definitely leaning towards Manel Kape on this one because of his experience and everything else. And this will be this guy's first time even in the octagon in a highly pressurized situation, no doubt. So I'm leaning towards Kape again, an easy win on this.
So we get to see Justin Tafa after last week's Junior Tafa. The bad man comes in. And not the bad man Stephen A talks about. This is the bad man in the MMA world. Tafa gets to fight Austin Lane. And I've always been interested in Austin Lane because he spent 4 seasons in the NFL as a former defensive end. He played with the Jags, the Chiefs, the Lions, and the Bears, and came in highly touted. He lost to Greg Hardy once, though, and we know how Greg Hardy was kind of a middling guy that came in from football and had few spectacular wins, but mostly losses. And so interested in seeing how Austin Lane fares against Tafa, who's super tough and a knockout artist himself.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how he fares, because I believe with Hardy, his one detriment, his weakness was the ground game. He had none. So hopefully Austin is a little bit more well-rounded in his mixed martial arts and can give us an interesting fight with Tafa. I'm still leaning on Tafa with this fight.
Yeah. I see Barry Grant Jr. has logged in. We're going to see him pop up video in a second, I'm sure. And we'll be able to do a great preview of the NFL. It's going to be exciting. I think, what do we have? He's supposed to be coming on to video at 5:30. We're about 2 minutes away, so we can continue talking until he does. There was a big news in the world of combat sports this weekend as the PFL has decided to power up with the Public Investment Fund of the Saudi Arabians and has accepted $100 million to make them a minority owner. And now the PFL is going to have a bunch of regional leagues around the world, one in the Middle East, one in North Africa, one in Europe, one in the South American region. They're going to have a North American region, and they're all going to have fights regionally, and they're going to put together super cards. They're going to try to lure as many fighters away from the UFC as they can, just like they did with Live Golf and other organizations. Same people that are giving huge money to Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury to fight in October. And this is big news. This is going to shake up the MMA world, and they're coming. And they got a lot of money, and they've already pledged $100 million, and they got way more to do it. we'll see what shakes down in this historic deal.
I think that's fantastic. I think it's fantastic because the UFC's been at the top of the food chain for so long, and now these guys are coming in saying, "Well, if it's about money, we got plenty of that." UFC should be worried. They
Yeah.
should be very worried because now that changes completely the landscape of mixed martial arts, professional mixed martial arts. They have to know now. You better start paying people because your guys are going to start leaving.
Yeah.
And I think in droves, not little bits here and there. I mean in droves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, they lost the heavyweight champion of the world, Francis Ngannou. He's, no longer. Jake Paul, they've convinced to join the PFL. I'm sure Nate Diaz is right behind. They've talked about doing an MMA fight. And I think the pipeline's just gonna start heading, and it's gonna be interesting to see who goes, who stays. And this is gonna be a huge power fight. I don't know how it's going to shake out, but I'm kind of excited. I like the idea of having these regional leagues around the world, and then having the ability for these super pay-per-views of the guys that emerge as the top in every division in regional leagues, and I'm going to start tuning in, and PFL has already got some good TV contracts. And they did lose a lot of money in 2021. They lost $30 million. But with this injection of money, maybe that doesn't matter, and you just start offering huge money. Maybe Conor McGregor gets a contract offer like Tiger Woods got to move over to live, and maybe these guys start taking the money and going over there.
No, man, they got money, and that's number one. They have capital. So again, the UFC should be paying very much attention to this because everything changes now. Everything.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything I have to do to click Barry on. We're sitting at 5:32. I see that his video's off, but I don't think there's anything I have to press. I believe it's on his side, so hopefully that's the case. And he comes into the mix any minute here. So they have really went after a lot of sports. They went after golf. They've went after racing. They've went after boxing. They've went after soccer, and now they've decided we're going to go after combat sports. And there have been fights. The UFC has had fights in the Middle East, but I don't think they've had much dealings with the Saudis in this PF public investment fund that they have here. And to have a ownership stake as well as a regional league, they're going to be big players in this, and I think they're making Francis Ngannou's wish to have a league in Africa, and that's a smart move because there's that's been an emerging market for quite a while, and if you can have the money, you can attract the talent, and there'll be a lot of fighters that will want to fight in their homeland and make it big there.
Yeah, and also too, it just logistically it makes sense because then you have all the fighters closer to where they live, where they grew up, where they train. It just makes a lot of sense to do it that way, and especially with them going into Africa and then setting up like a regional circuit there, because then there's going to be a ton of fighters that we have no idea about that are going to come out of nowhere and start ripping it up. So I'm excited. And I think it's just a great move on their part. I'm a little bit surprised though that they only have a minority stake. If they just gave PFL 100 million, I thought you said, well, they just bought it.
Yeah, no. Well, I think that's actually better that they just are taking a minority stake.
Yeah,
we'll see. I see him. He's emerged. There he is, all the way live from New York City. Barry Grant Jr. Thanks for joining us, Barry. Great to see you.
Glad to be back on. What's up, Darren? What's up, Jason? How y'all doing?
Yeah, we're doing great. Happy Labor Day. Kind of the unofficial end to summer, some people say. What do you say?
I mean, once August gets around, it's pretty much over for the summer. So I mean, this is kind of like it's kind of like the last farewell, I guess, if you want to say. So I don't really do much on my Labor Day, so kind of take it easy.
Yeah, Labor Day, that's what it was supposed to be for. Unions were able to, give us this holiday and, allow us to have this day of rest. We've been talking a lot on this podcast about unions, especially because the actors and the writers have been striking, and it's affecting here a lot. It affects Jason and I directly. It affects a lot of people in our local market. Obviously, New York City, very big for productions, and it has to be affecting a lot of people there. Quite a bit of talk going on, and they're not talking yet. Unfortunately, this is dragging out, and it's affecting a lot. What's the talk there like that this keeps dragging on?
I mean, it's pretty much the same everywhere because the thing is that I applaud them for their solidarity.
Yeah.
Make sure that they stay together and make sure that they get compensation that's fair. I mean, to be able to try to pay somebody $200 for their image and likeness
Yeah.
and keep it forever, like people are not that dumb. And as well as the writers, they've always said that, listen, we don't have a problem with artificial intelligence. We don't have a problem with AI. We would like to work with AI, but you're not just going to let the script write itself. It needs to be a partnership in regards to us partnering with AI to make the scripts better and enhance them a bit better, but you can't take the soul out of movies. And if you take people writing movies out of movies, movies are not going to be the same anymore. So
Yeah.
they understand that
The human element, like, you need it, right?
it's
You need it.
completely ridiculous. But I mean, this is the world that we live in. Quick story. I went to go get a U-Haul truck over the weekend to go move some stuff, and I haven't, got a U-Haul truck in a very long time since the last time I moved into my house. So I go there and I'm like, okay, who do I speak to? Oh no, you just gotta scan this barcode here. And I'm just like, okay, so I scan the barcode and then do what? Oh, you got to follow the prompts and then you can be able to check out, and then whatever items you've got additionally, I can be able to get those items for you. So I said, so what is your particular job in regards to what you do here? Oh, I'm just here. I'm just here to assist. So I said, what happens to the people that do not have smartphones and can't really do these particular things? What happens there? She's like, listen, this happened because there was a walkthrough in Manhattan, and everybody in Manhattan is impatient and wants everything on the go, go, go. So I said, well, I get that for Manhattan, but what about the people on the island or people who don't really move that way? Right. So, you have these people in these meetings that make these decisions that don't really understand how the real world works.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in movie productions, the same thing in these studios, that they think that they can be able to just take advantage of workers because people are out there struggling and being actors and trying to get their foot in the door. You need to pay people a little bit more than that. Yeah. And they know that. So this is why this is going to drag out for a very long time, and I support them, and I hope they get every dime that they deserve.
Yeah. Don't we all? Yeah, for sure. You're right on all those points for sure. And it's it's crazy that CEOs are getting record profits every year, and they just don't see the little guy, and they don't care. And
no, they see him. They just don't care.
They just don't care. Yeah. Unfortunately, we've been seeing it for a while, and I stand in solidarity with them as well. They deserve what they're asking for, and they will get it, I hope. And we can move forward. But let's get to the world of sports that doesn't have a lot of this kind of stuff that you have to deal with, luckily, these days, and we get to just see games. Big week with the NFL season kicking off on Thursday. Super excited about that. But I do want to talk about two things that happened over the last couple days. The biggest story for me over the weekend was Deion Sanders prime time. He comes into Colorado Buffaloes, and he just blows the doors off of that place. After a 1-11 season last year, he's like, this doesn't work here, guys. Let's get rid of everybody, and I'll bring in my talent, and I'll show you guys what I can do. And they pull off a massive upset, 45-42 over TCU, who was in the championship game last year.
Were they?
Yeah, national championship game
No,
last year.
I mean that sarcastically. Were they?
They were, yeah, right. Okay, true enough. Yeah. They were there, they made it there. So but yeah, this was they were Colorado come in 20-point underdogs and were able to really dismantle them, play in a phenomenal game offensively and get a big victory and it really shook up the world. Really one of the biggest upsets I've ever seen.
You know what it is? What's crazy about that word upset is that it all depends on who you ask,
Okay.
right? So the
Content.
traditional college football heads that don't really want Deion Sanders to succeed,
Okay.
of course they're going to put him as 20-point underdogs. Of course they're going to hate the fact that he has the transfer portal going crazy and all of these kids want to come to Colorado. Of course they're going to criticize him for nepotism for starting his son at quarterback, not realizing that his son is actually a pretty decent quarterback, not realizing he possibly has the second best player in the nation in Travis Hunter as a two-way player. So all of these things nobody was really talking about because they don't really want him to succeed.
Wow.
If he succeeds the way he's been succeeding in Jackson State and he does this at Colorado, what does it do for the traditional college football person? It literally blows the doors down. Yeah. So this is why you're always going to hear these negative connotations when it comes to Deion Sanders. And all he's going to do is completely change the culture. He's a culture changer. That's what he does. He's been winning in life since he's picked up a baseball or football. Yeah. And there's no difference in regards to him mentoring these kids, coaching them. They run through walls for Coach Prime. And they're going to continue to do that. He's going to continue to be able to recruit guys that want to play two ways because a lot of coaches in college football don't want their players to play two sides of the football. He has he doesn't care because guess what? That's what he did his whole life. So why, as a coach, he's going to try to restrict you? So he's going to be changing a lot of norms in the college football space, and they don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you think, Jason? It sure seemed to shock a lot of people that were following college football. He comes into this program and just blew it up and emerged as a big victor this weekend.
He's already been on record to say, I don't care what anybody thinks about me. I'm just going to do what I do, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And guess what? He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly what he has as his son. He's raised him from birth. So he knows that he's really good, right? Like he has that charisma about him. We all know who prime time is. And if I'm a player coming up, why wouldn't I want to play for that guy? You know, like the wealth of knowledge I could learn from him so I could go and transition to the next level. Yeah, I want that. I want all of that.
Yeah. This new transfer portal we talked a ton about with the NCAA and the way it just blew up March Madness this year. It seemed to just be so unpredictable and so hard to know because there was a lot of kids that moved schools and, changed the reality of a lot of other situations there. Is this a good thing? Is there any downside of these transfer portals happening now in major college sports like this?
It's a good thing, but it also, it just depends on the situation, right? Like, there's a lot of times where this transfer portal. All right, let me go ahead and put it into two categories. Coaches have been doing it since the dawn of time in college football. They can be able to sign these big contracts and then all of a sudden say, hey, got a deal somewhere else. I'm going to go. So it's good for the players to be able to pick and choose where they want to go. Certain times, you get recruited, a coach gets fired and the entire situation changes and you may not be comfortable with that. So you have a right to change schools, right? I don't have a problem with that. The downside or the dark side of the moon to that particular thing with the transfer portal is that sometimes you might be teaching kids the wrong thing in regards to, hey, it may be good to wait a little bit, wait for your chance at this school because you're going to get an opportunity if your talent level is there. It's a little old school, right? Like you got to sit and wait your turn. This transfer portal doesn't really allow that. Like if a kid feels that he's highly recruited and he's been told that he's going to get some playing time and it's not there, and he doesn't get it, then he decides, oh, I'm going to leave. Then what if he goes to the other school and he doesn't get the same opportunity? Then he's just going to keep leaving. So it teaches kids that sometimes, like, you're if you're in a situation that's a little challenging, just leave. Like, that's not a good thing to teach kids.
Yeah.
You want them to have a little bit of adversity, be able to go through life. But at the same time, in certain situations where, you know, there's opportunity somewhere else and you can be able to better your chances at getting to the next level, I don't have a problem with it. So there's always downsides to everything.
Sure.
But, you know, that's pretty much it.
Of course, yeah. You want to weigh in a little, Jason, on that?
Yeah, I agree with Barry. Like, it just, yeah, there's ups and downs to both, but I think overall it's just better. I think it's better for the kids and the students, for the student athletes, to go get theirs, to go out there and just like, if they feel that they're being disadvantaged, or that the coach, like, my play style doesn't work for his scheme, and I know that, so it's time for me to go somewhere else where it does. And then you also have the ability to talk to other coaches to see, what if I were to come to you? How would that look?
Right.
Would that even fit? You know, like, they have that ability to do that now. And I think that's definitely an advantage for them as opposed to what it was before.
Yeah. At the end of the day, too, you know, last thing before we go, I guess it's a business, right? College football has been treating it like a business for the entire time it's been in its history, right? Yeah. The kids now are joining that business. So now they understand, okay, cool. Well, listen, if I can be able to get a bigger NIL deal over here because I'm going to get more playing time and more exposure, I'm going there. It's a business. So I understand that part for the kids. So yeah, just like Jason said, go get yours, honestly.
Yeah. That just reminds me of John Harbaugh and what he said. He thinks that these players should get paid. And that was kind of shocking because most of the top level coaches are mum about the subject. We know that these universities, colleges have exploited these kids, have made lots and millions and multi-millions of dollars off them. And it has been completely unfair and, you know, corrupt system, in my opinion. And I applaud guys like Harbaugh for stepping up, because he got a bit of a slap on the wrist from some recruiting violations. He decided, well, hey, you know, what you guys have here, the system is wrong and it should be fixed. And maybe we can see it finally fixed so that, you know, these kids can get paid some of this money. Get, you know, we mentioned the actors and only getting $200 for their likeness. Well, you know, these kids are using their talents and their likeness and not getting compensated for it. It's just wrong. And it's been wrong for, you know, the entire history.
Listen, look what they did to Reggie Bush. They took away the man's Heisman Trophy for some improprieties from USC about them, you know, giving his parents a house and all this other stuff. And look, what 18-year-old kid wouldn't sign up with that? What 18-year-old kid wouldn't want to better the situation with his family? Like, I'll sign that if they give that to my son. If my son was Reggie Bush, I wouldn't look at him anyway. You know, you're trying to better your family, and the fact that they would try to exploit this kid or put him on Front Street and take his Heisman away and all this stuff, he's gonna get his Heisman back, and he's gonna get a lot of money as well.
I know.
So I can't wait.
I'm glad he's finally suing them, and I hope he gets millions and millions of dollars, and you know, gets an apology for the way they raked his name through the mud.
20 years.
Yeah, brutal. Yeah, it's been forever.
Yeah, I was just gonna add, yeah, man, because at the end of the day, like, especially when they say there's these violations and stuff like that, that's only because, unfortunately, you got caught. Everybody does it.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody does it, right? Like, so it's just, it's ridiculous sometimes for me, because I'm like, you know what? You probably can just do away with all that nonsense by just paying them.
Yeah.
Right. Just pay them as like you would any other employee at any other job, and then you just don't have to deal with this nonsense of these violations, this and this and that, because that was the greatest racket that universities have been having in the States for the longest time, is the student athlete. Yeah. We can just make a ton of money off these guys and not have to worry about paying them anything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The big story today was the debut of Shannon Sharpe on First Take. We finally saw the much anticipated debut That's been rumored for a long, long time, and he finally got to leave Skip Bayless behind and take on Stephen A. in the debate. I watched it today. It was only a short show, 1 hour. I was amazed. He looked nervous. He sounded nervous. He laughed at almost everything that Stephen A. actually even said. It's sort of just like, oh, maybe I better laugh at my boss's dumb jokes. And he called Stephen A. Skip once. He said a few nervous things, but this should be interesting for the landscape. Jason and I have talked about it, but you weigh in a little bit, Barry.
I've shared my thoughts on my show in regards to this whole situation. I think, I'm very happy for Shannon Sharpe landing on his feet, finding a platform to be able to, showcase his abilities and continue to do so. He's his star has been on a meteoric rise for the last 6 years. So, it's going to continue. My only thing with the whole situation is that for him to leave Undisputed and Fox and then go to ESPN for only 2 days, that's the only drawback for me. It's more like, okay, you're going there, you had a big situation there, now you're going to ESPN. I understand it's a bigger platform, but to take a lesser role on somebody else's show when you could literally, write your own ticket and be the guy, be that next guy to be able to be the kingmaker, like how Skip Bayless is or how Stephen A. Smith is. Like he can be in that driver's seat. Now, listen, it's still early. He can be able to expand his role with ESPN, but for the surface, the way it looked to me when they announced the deal, I just didn't like the way it looked. And you listen, everybody has their opinions about certain people. Some people don't like Skip. Some people want to see him fail. Both shows are going to be successful. First Take has been, number one in the ratings for 12 years running. Yeah. So, I don't see that changing anytime soon. But at the same time, both shows have a nice dynamic. Skip has a nice crew there. Shannon Sharpe is going to be happy. And I think both guys landed on their feet in regards to just where their shows are, where their careers are going. Yeah. And, a lot of people want to say that, it ended poorly or whatever it is. Listen, they were together for 6 years. Yeah. That was longer than Skip and Stephen A. were together. Yeah. So, it's sometimes things last long. You see Tony Kornheiser and Mike Wilbon, like, they're best friends and they've been on PTI for years. But sometimes guys have to split up to see exactly what their value is and what their worth is, and it's fine. This whole tribalism that we have with these two shows or with this debate show war that I want to call it, it's just nonsense. Like, for people that don't like Skip, go watch First Take. For people that don't like Shannon Sharpe or Stephen A. Smith, go watch First Things First or Undisputed. Like, there's many different shows that you can be able to watch. But for people to constantly go back and forth and want Skip to fail, they put out the ratings of his show the first week, and everybody's like, how many shows don't do well in the first week and then take off because it's not a finished product? Like, it's just childish, man. It's just more of just like, people need to grow up, just let them be them, wish them success, and see what happens.
Yeah. What do you think, Jason? What do you think?
Yeah, man, I agree. I agree. Like, you tune into what you like. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you don't like Skip or what he has to say. By the way, I do need to say this. What I did enjoy on Skip's show was that when you had Richard Sherman, Keyshawn Johnson, and Michael Irvin on, I think for that first episode where Skip didn't actually have a chance to talk on his own show, I thought that was hilarious. I laughed hard for a very long time about that. So, but yeah, man, like it's your preference. It's your personal preference, and there's enough shows out there that you should be able to find whatever you want to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised that Shannon Sharpe only was going to do 2 days a week. Maybe there's talk about, if it goes well, we'll work something out. My thoughts were maybe he comes on, they have a good banter, and then he gets a slot like Max Kellerman had, because there's kind of a gap now once First Take's over. I used to watch Kellerman's show, and now he's gone. I think there's an opening there that maybe Shannon could take.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they brought in Pat McAfee. He's gonna have his show very soon with ESPN, if he didn't have it already. But they are in need of some fresh programming, some guys that people actually want to hear and see. So if there's an opportunity for him to get his own show there, I mean, Club Shay Shay has a home with the volume with Colin Cowherd and stuff like that. But if he can be able to get a situation with ESPN where he can be able to have his own show, maybe, I don't know if it's a debate show, it could be, and we'll see. I wanted him to kind of like wait it out and kind of like let the market just be in high demand for him, and then he could be able to just write his own ticket in regards to like getting an Amazon deal, streaming deal where he has his own show or something like that, where it's like, okay, there's this other platform that now they're trying their thing, and Shannon Sharpe is their kingmaker. He's their golden goose. I would have preferred something like that for him. But if he wants to be with Stephen A. Smith because he's comfortable there and he trusts Stephen A. Smith, and he, nothing is gonna happen like what happened with him and Skip, unfortunately, for the last 6 months of the show. It was unfortunate, but listen, it happens, right? There's a lot of times where when you're talking about TV, we're talking about entertainment, right? And I think Skip is he's a good person, but in the same sense, it's his show, it's his game, and there's a lot of times where he wants to kind of tell people that sometimes, and it rubs people. So sometimes it rubs people the wrong way, and I get that because when you're a boss of your own thing, you don't want to be told what to do, and you want to run your own stuff. So Shannon kind of said, okay, well, if I can't get a little bit more flexibility here or whatever it is, or if there's not going to be equal type of respect here where I'm the co-host and it's time to leave, and that's okay too. Like, what I mean? Sometimes certain situations are just not for you and you have to create your own lane. That doesn't necessarily mean that Skip is a bad person. And that doesn't necessarily mean that Shannon Sharpe is a selfish person. It just, they gave us 6 good years, 6.5 good years. What more can you ask for? So,
yeah,
that's all it is.
Yeah, I know. And I agree with that. I'm with Barry. I thought he would transition to just having his own show, and maybe he still does that for ESPN. But I do look forward to seeing both shows and just seeing how they eventually weigh out and see what they do going forward.
Yeah, I saw somebody offering Shannon quite a big deal. Like Joe Rogan has, his big deal with Spotify. We've seen a lot of deals for big money, and I thought somebody would step up to the plate and offer him something. Yeah, you mentioned there's so many streaming options now that want to get into the game, and you would have thought that someone saw him and thought, hey, this is a guy I want to develop around, and his link to the NFL players is super valuable, I think. And he seems to be tight with a lot of athletes and a lot of ability to bring them in when a lot of guys will just I can't be bothered. I think he had that ability to attract a really good audience and a really good a group of people that came in to add their expertise as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's more of like, there's a lot of kids that are growing up right now that don't know Shannon Sharpe as the Hall of Fame tight end. They know him as the person that's been on Undisputed for the last 6 years.
Right.
So, it's
True.
he's now creating his own career as a media darling, right? As the guy in this media space. So, there's going to be plenty of opportunity for him to be able to expand and grow.
Yeah.
Do I necessarily am I a fan of him on First Take? No. But we'll see. We'll see how it continues to progress and evolve, because my thing is that they're both cowboy, they're both cowboy haters, right? By nature. It's just entertaining. Right. So to have them both talking about Cowboys, a little there's no, where's the other variable? They may have to bring in a Marcus Spears and be the third guy while they, what I mean? So, we'll see how that works. Cowboy Mondays are going to be much more much more entertaining, I would say, on Undisputed than it would be on First Take.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As a Cowboy lover, I'm sure you're not going to enjoy Mondays on First Take.
Listen, I won't. I will watch it because it's entertaining. But I am a playmaker guy. I want to hear Michael Irvin. That's my guy.
Right.
So
Right.
you know, Michael Irvin makes you want to run through a wall, man. Every time he gives you a rah-rah speech. That man is super motivational. So you know, it's just, listen, we have two great options as well as a third option, because a lot of people don't even talk about how good First Things First is as well on FS1. That's a really good show. So there's a lot of good shows out there, man, that people can really dive into and enjoy and have a good time. You know, Skip has a really good roster. Rachel Nichols, Josina is there now. You know, Keyshawn Johnson is so well spoken. Richard Sherman, like they have a really good roster. So does ESPN First Take. So you know, it's a lot of good stuff on TV, and you know, people just gotta relax and just enjoy it, man, and stop trying to compare.
Okay, let's get at the NFL season. As I mentioned off the top, it kicks off on Thursday. KC against Detroit. The biggest story in KC is their all-pro defensive tackle, Chris Jones, sitting out amidst a contract dispute, wants an extension to his deal. And, you know, most people think that he deserves it after all the defensive tackles getting huge money in this off season. It seems like he should be there. 29 years old, all pro season coming off, and Super Bowl champion. Surprised that they're having this fight with him right now, but I hope it shakes out. I don't think for sure, even if he signs right this second, he'll be playing this week. But it's a big loss not having him. I see the Kelsey brothers were having this discussion. Did you see the clip about that, Jason? The Kelsey brothers podcast. Travis went, please just come back. I don't understand what's going on. Just come back, win another Super Bowl with me, please. Did you see it, Jason?
Oh yeah. No, I saw it. But you know what? It's part of the contract. Like, it's part of the contract negotiations of what you got to go through. It's just part of the deal. Yeah. And obviously Travis is doing that all in fun. But you know what? Chris Jones, he's got to take care of himself. He's got to take care of his own family, right? So that's just part of the deal. I hope he comes back soon. Yeah. And I hope that for the Chiefs, because they definitely need him for defense, because they're his other pass rusher brother, I believe he's gotten in trouble, Charles Aminu, for he's got a suspension from the league for conduct detrimental. So he's going to miss the first 6 games of the year. Jeez. So now you're missing 2 of your top pass rushers on defense. Real. Not a good start. That's not a good look for the KC at all.
Yeah, your thoughts, Barry, about Chris Jones not being there, and looking like you know, they're far apart in contract negotiations, from what I understand.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's on the 4-game restricted list right now, so you know, it's contract related. And the thing is about Kansas City is why this is going to be dragged out. I don't think that we're going to get to a deal anytime soon. This may even end up going a little closer to the trade deadline, which would be week 8. Is that Kansas City? It's kind of like next man up over there, right? Like, we've seen them get rid of or trade Tyreek Hill, one of the top 3 receivers in football, because of contract negotiations, because they feel that, you know, whether rightly or wrongly, irreplaceable. And were they right to be able to replace him because they won a Super Bowl without him? Yeah, they were right. So what makes Chris Jones any different? You know, Kansas City has never been a great defensive team. They've had great defensive spurts in playoffs to be able to get them over the top. And Chris Jones is an impact player, no doubt. But do they really need Chris Jones in the regular season to be able to get to the playoffs? The answer is no. Yeah. So that's why their contract negotiations, they kind of have the little, they kind of have the advantage in regards to that, because, you know, losing a Chris Jones for the first however many weeks is not going to really impact them that much, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That makes a good point. Regular season not as crucial. The funny thing is, earlier today they were showing the conference championship on NFL Network. They were showing the Chiefs against the Bengals, and it came down, third
Chris
and
Jones.
long,
Yep.
and Chris Jones ends up sacking Joe Burrow,
Right.
putting him into a fourth down. For some reason, on 4th and 16, they punted it away. But I thought it was kind of funny that Chris Jones was just, shown as making the most crucial tackle quarterback sack of the season there. And but you're right. Tyreek Hill, had to hit the bricks because they didn't have the money. This happens to a lot of teams that have this type of success that the Chiefs have had because, now Mahomes is making all the money and, they're having to pay so many of the guys a lot of money. But defensive tackles, I've got a list here of the money that's been given away this offseason to defensive tackles. Quentin Williams leads the way, $96 million deal. Jeffrey Simmons, 94. Darren Payne got 90. Dexter Lawrence got 87.5. And Javon Hargrave got 84. So
right. So think about it. If Quentin Williams got 96, Chris Jones is looking for something anywhere north of $100 million.
Right. Yeah. So the money might not be there.
Right. It might not be there, or they have it, and listen, it's all negotiation. Negotiation always gets ugly. Feelings are hurt for certain players. Like look at the whole Lamar Jackson thing, how that played out. And at the end of the day, he signed the biggest contract for a quarterback in NFL history, right? So it's just more, it's just, we go through this every year in regards to some particular player, and they either get their money from the current team or they get their money elsewhere. So either way, Chris Jones is going to get paid, whether it be from the Chiefs or whether it be from somebody else. So we'll see how it plays out. But I think both sides are going to be fine with each other, and both sides will be fine without each other. So that's just pretty much it. Chris Jones is not going to derail the Chiefs dynasty, what they currently have. That's just the honest truth.
Yeah.
And then that's because of the fact that Kansas City Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. And since they have that guy, that's why they're not too good.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, well, it should be a great game. I'm looking forward to it. Lions are much improved. We saw them take a giant leap forward last year and start to be that offensive team that we were hoping they could put together. And they've made some great strides in this offseason, and I'm very impressed with how they look. People are predicting that they win their division and maybe be a force this year. How do you guys see the Lions shaking out?
Jason? I'll let you go first there, Barry. Go for it.
Okay. I'm actually putting out my NFL preview show tomorrow. I had did it on my podcast on Friday night. So I'm going to clip up that segment. Was like 50, maybe an hour. I did a preview show. So I actually had the Lions winning the NFC North.
Nice.
Because, when you look at all the other teams that are in there,
Packers, and Bears.
Packers, the Vikings right now, they're still good, but listen, they've lost some weapons. They've lost Dalvin Cook. They've lost Adam Thielen. Is the rookie kid, the rookie wide receiver, is he going to be able to step up and be that second guy to Jefferson on the outside, right? Like TJ Hawkinson just signed the biggest tight end deal in NFL history. Is he going to be the second guy? Is Kirk Cousins going to be comfortable not having a safety net like Adam Thielen there? Because now Jefferson is going to be getting double teamed a lot this coming season. So do they have the weapons to be able to offset that? I don't know. Is the offensive line going to hold up? I don't know. Defensively, they're not as good. So I think the Lions have a prime chance to be able to take this division. So I really have them. I can't remember if I said 11-6, but I can see them going 11-6 and winning that division.
Yeah.
And
I have them predicted to win this division, but Jason, weigh in on the Lions.
Yeah, so like last year they averaged fifth in points at 25.7, and I don't see their offense slowing down anytime soon. They got a strong offensive line with Penei Sewell and Frank Ragnoff. And then they added some running backs in Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. So right. I think they're set up to be good. Like, every year since who's the head coach for the Detroit Lions again?
Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell.
Since Dan Campbell's been there, they have improved. They have steadily improved, and I believe they're just going to take another leap again. And I'm going to say a sleeper guy, that somebody to probably look out for the Detroit going forward for this year, is their rookie tight end, Sam Laporta. I think he's going to be good for them. Really.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, really good. I do want to go division by division near the end of the show and sort of get some predictions and some ideas. We did a little bit there, but I do want to just sort of talk about some of the top stories heading into this offseason. I mentioned Chris Jones. We talked about him. Nick Bosa's another guy, defensive player of the year that's missing. Josh Jacobs didn't sign his franchise tag and missing. Do you guys, think that these situations will get worked out, or just like you said, Barry, it'll just be they'll either work it out with another franchise or this one eventually?
Yeah, I mean, Josh Jacobs, he did sign the 1-year deal with the Raiders. So, he ended up holding out and signed his 1-year deal. So that's pretty much the market right now for running backs. You're not seeing, multi-year deals for these guys. It's more like, hey, listen, get a 1-year, $11.5 or $12 million deal, prove your worth, and you can possibly sign, a bigger deal with the current team, or you hit the market and maybe take a little less, but you get more years in the back end. So, we'll see what happens with those guys. But Nick Bosa and the 49ers, they're going to work that out. That, there's a deadline for them to get that deal done. It's going to get done, and he's going to break the market in regards to how much he's going to get. You may see Nick Bosa get maybe $32 million a year for a defensive end, which is insane. But that's pretty much
Donald money. Aaron Donald's contract was 3 years, 95. So
right.
We're talking probably triple digits, and Bosa's going to get paid. So
absolutely.
I'm glad you mentioned running backs. There was a lot of talk this offseason. They actually had a running back meeting, and they said, what are we going to do? How are we going to figure it out? Jason, you had some ideas on how to help them. Do you want to share some of that with Barry, what you said on a podcast a couple of weeks ago when we had this discussion?
Yeah, because I thought, what if you take away the fact that you can, what's that thing? Like for the 1 year that the teams can do to any player.
Franchise tag.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take that away. You can't franchise tag your running backs anymore. That's what I feel. Like if you're not able to do that, then you'll actually have to have a real negotiation with them instead of entrap them with the franchise tag.
Yeah.
That was number one. That's what I think.
Nice.
And if things keep going the way they are, they keep devaluing the running back position, this is what's going to happen for the future. I firmly believe this. Kids are not dumb. They're smart. They'll look at that and be like, you know what? Me playing running back, probably not the best thing for me. I'll go to another skill position where I can get paid. And I think you're going to see the quality of running backs to start to deteriorate over time.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, what Jason said that, in regards to the franchise tag, the franchise tag will never not be in play because of the collective bargaining agreement. Players will never strike in the NFL because there's too many players and there's too many guys that are like fringe players that literally won't stand for a strike. So which means that the owners are always going to have the advantage in certain things, and they're going to concede to certain things that they shouldn't agree to just to be able to keep playing football, right? So let's just talk about the existing rules that we have. This is how the running back position needs to be able to figure out and improve. Sports is about analytics now. And what ended up happening to the running back position, Jason, you've been watching football a long time. Same with you, Darren. You've seen the game change in regards to it being a running back dominant league. If you didn't have a real ace in the whole running back, you weren't winning a Super Bowl. If you didn't have a running back in a defense, you weren't winning anything. Now, what we see is the opposite, right? You need a quarterback. You got to make sure your quarterback is a top 10 quarterback to be able to have a chance to defense, blah, blah, blah. The issue is that what team changed the game in regards to analytics? Do you guys have the answer to that? Because I would.
Patriots, of course.
Okay, so you say Patriots, Darren. What about you, Jason?
49ers, Shanahan.
49ers Shanahan. I will tell you that it's neither of those two. It was way before that with the New Orleans Saints. Sean Payton and Drew Brees, they're the ones that changed the game because they're the ones that incorporated the two-back system with Reggie Bush and Deuce McAllister. So when teams started to see that, they started to say, two running backs that can be able to be effective at the same time. Now we're talking about analytics. Why should you pay a running back $16 million when you can have two or three of them making $6 million a piece? That's the problem that they're having in football, is that there's two. The analytics tell you that one running back is not effective anymore. You need to have two or three. So this is how the running back situation is going to change. When was the last time we had a running back actually impact a Super Bowl or a playoff run? You can't really remember.
Yeah.
That's the problem, right? So the only way it's going to change is if a running back is a dominant guy in the regular season, he finishes top 5 in MVP, he helps his team get to a Super Bowl, has a tremendous Super Bowl, and actually helps his team win that Super Bowl.
Right.
That's how it's going to change, because sports is a copycat league. Thank you, Darren. So if you have that, now teams are going to want that. When the New Orleans Saints were being successful with Drew Brees and that high octane offense, everybody wanted that. Right. So this is why the league changed. So now guys are getting paid, and also too, they're not staying healthy and they're getting in trouble. So you have your big guys getting these big contracts. Kamara's getting in trouble. Christian McCaffrey's flaming out and getting hurt. You have Henry. He's a one-dimensional guy. You had Todd Gurley. Well, once he signed his deal, he was nothing after that. So all of these teams are gun-shy to give running backs big contracts. So they have to stay healthy. They have to eat it right now. They have to just play the game, and they have to just, grit and bear and be healthy. Show some teams that you can be able to be a contributing factor to a playoff run, and that's when you'll start to get your money. That's it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The Patriots were, under Belichick, I think they always employed, 2 or 3 backs, and Jason's example of the Niners. They, especially in the Shanahan era, it just seems like a revolving door, and they're using three backs a game. Exactly. And they're employing it, and most guys are getting 600, 700, 800 yards, and it's keeping them all fairly healthy, and you're not going to drop off so much if your guy gets hurt, and that makes a lot of sense there. But you're right, copycat sports is copycat, and it's a copycat league. If the running back can become a lot more prevalent on a Super Bowl winning team, then a lot of franchises are going to want to shift to that type of game plan and that type of roster construction. So, Jason.
Yeah. And also, too, I think the other thing that needs to be said, how running backs can make themselves more valuable, is have the skill set to catch out of the backfield.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why Christian McCaffrey gets paid so much, because he has that element to his game.
Yeah, we're right. I started doing analytics after you, not because you mentioned analytics, and I was looking at analytics as I was putting this together. And I actually saw that running backs are pretty important. You are using a 2 or 3 tier system, but they had 27 rushing attempts per game. That's the highest since 2011 last year. And they had almost 122 yards a game rushing. And that's a 36-year high. 87 was the last year that had more than 122 yards rushing a game for teams. So it's still valuable. It's still super valuable, but not one guy per team. It's down to 2 or 3 per team. And when you look at teams, Seattle Seahawks have been very run heavy since that Pete Carroll era. But since Marshawn Lynch is gone, none of the guys could stay healthy. They get a guy in there, he plays a game or two, and then he's gone. and then another guy comes in and he's gone, and then they're into their third and fourth stringers.
Yep.
And unfortunately, the health has been impactful so badly for running backs being, that feature guy who gets paid the big bucks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a very demanding position.
Yeah.
You hardly see a lot of fullbacks in the league anymore. So it's just the way it goes. We'll never, hopefully, not be in an NFL that doesn't have a running back, but I don't see that you're going to see much Adrian Peterson guys anymore. You're just not. They're just not built like that anymore.
Yeah.
They're not built to just be one back to be able to, have 400 carries and 1,800 yards in a season. It just doesn't equate to that. The analytics won't allow any particular player to do that. They don't even do that in college. So, they try to keep their carries down in college because the analytics say the carries carry over to the NFL. If you have 1,200 carries in college, now you're just limiting this guy to like 5 or 6 years in the league that he has to be productive. So, is it true? I don't know. I can't really say. It's different, right? Like it's just different in regards to how these guys are training, how these guys are preparing for their seasons. Running backs are smaller now than they were 20, 25 years ago. Obviously you had the guys like Barry Sanders, but you look at Barry Sanders, he was put together at 5'9". Emmitt Smith was a little on the smaller side, but guys were put together. You remember guys like Earl Campbell and you have Jamal Anderson and Jamal Lewis and these guys that just big backs, Terrell Davis. These guys are just big backs that can be able to handle big loads. So it's just, it's just the way it goes, honestly.
One thing that I looked when I was doing some deep dives was last year's scoring was less than 44 points a game. It's a 5-year low, very trending down. It just keeps trending down, and NFL is not going to be happy with that. They're going to try to figure out ways to change that. The defensive pass interference and roughing the passer calls was also at a 5-year low. So look out. We're going to see so many flags. They're going to amp this up. Defensive players are going to be in serious trouble, and especially the pass rushers. If you just touch that quarterback in any way, you're going to get roughing. I hate that. I really get frustrated when I see these roughing the passer calls, and I think the outrage from the fans has diminished the amount of calls to that. What's another way, Jason, that the NFL can start increasing the scoring without having to throw the flag so much and hamper these defenses like crazy?
That's a good question. Because first you would think that just throw the flag more often, and then get so that they can move the ball. But same time, that's not great football, right? And nobody really wants to see that.
Don't want that.
No, I don't want to see that at all. So maybe how about this? For instance, for the receivers when they're trying to get off the line, as a cornerback, maybe you're not allowed to jam them off the line anymore. So that you allow the receivers to have more of a free release, so that they don't get stuck there, so that it's easier for them to get open. So that's just one idea I had.
Okay. Barry, anything come to mind?
Yeah, I don't think there's necessarily a particular fix. I just think that it's either you're going to have a more physical game and just let them play. And, for me, I'm old school. I don't believe that football should be 45 to 44. It just, it's more of a grind it out. If that's your team's strategy to be able to run the ball and pound it and keep the scores low and be great defensively, then do that. Like it doesn't make the game any less exciting or boring or whatever it is if the scores are low. Like we've had a lot of great games that are 17 to 14. Look at the Cowboys and 49ers game in the playoffs. That game ended 17 to 12.
Yeah.
That was a good game. It was a good defensive game where it was, pull and pull, push and pull on either side. Like it's fine. It's football. Like, you don't necessarily need to have these high scores. The same thing I've said about basketball. Basketball scores are too high now. You got a combined score of 300 points in a game. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, whatever happened to the 89 to 93 scores? I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
That means that guys are actually out there playing defense and trying. So, that's the thing with me, is that you don't necessarily need to increase the scoring. Just leave it the way it is. Football is football.
Yeah. For some reason, these leagues always make these reactions, though. They think that that's what the fans are dying for and begging for, and we see them make changes to the rules to hamper defenses and the ability to increase scoring. But I'm old school. I think Jason is as well. So let's just keep it the same. I don't want to see just little nicky-knack calls done on defensive players all the time so they can increase the scoring.
Exactly. Exactly. Listen, I'm okay with a 6-3 score. That's all right. Give me 6-3. I'm okay.
Okay. Roughing the quarterbacks is something that they also wanted to implement because of concussions, and the biggest concussion that got the most attention last year was Tua Tagovailoa. He got 2 concussions in a 3-week span, and had to shelve himself for the season. They have implemented these new helmets. I guess Tua's going to be wearing one. We saw a lot of interesting helmets in practice and training camp utilized. Do we see the NFL making it kind of mandatory for most of the players to be wearing these new helmets so the concussions can come down? Because they were up actually 18% over last year, and it became quite concerning. It has been concerning since CTE became a thing, and do you see the direction moving towards making it mandatory for all the players, Jason?
Okay, so we're talking about like those weird freaking helmets that they were in during the preseason and stuff, right? Okay,
no, it's a different helmet that they have for the regular season, not those.
It's not what Tua's gonna wear. It's a quarterback accented protective thing. It's not that what I'm talking about, but they were wearing that player wide, league wide. But Tua's got going to be employing a different, especially concussion proof helmet that he wants to wear now.
Anything that improves player safety, I'm all for.
Okay.
Anything that improves player safety, I'm all for. Like if that's what Tua feels that he needs to do, then he should do that. If that's what any of those quarterbacks or any player feels that they need to do, they should go ahead and do that. I am all for R&D. That's what the NFL should be doing every year. Every year they should be investing to make sure, how can we make our players safer? How can we make this game safer? They should be doing that every year, and I applaud them for doing it. And just because they have this iteration, they shouldn't stop.
Absolutely.
They should continue to keep researching.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah. Hopefully, it helps, and we don't see Tua's career cut short. We've seen a lot of guys' careers cut short from head injuries and concussions, and it'd be tragic to see that. So during the pandemic, we saw games on every single day of the week. Do you guys remember that cancellations and changes in schedule? We saw an NFL game 7 and every one of the 7 days of the week. There will be a game this year for the first time on Black Friday, November the 24th. Dolphins play the Jets. Do you think the NFL's trying to take over another day of the week? They've got Sunday, they've got Thursday, they've got Monday. Do you think it's inevitable that they're going to try to attack Friday, especially once the high school football season ends? They can start putting games on Fridays now to try to take over another day of the week.
Go ahead, Barry.
I mean, listen, the NFL is gonna do what they want to do, right? People are gonna say, hey, give me football every day of the week, and they'll be fine with that. I don't necessarily think that they have to go to Fridays if they want to, I guess. But Thursday night football, remember, they had to really kind of change how they do their schedule, because they were putting out a lot of terrible games and the ratings weren't that great for in regards to what they expect, right? NFL ratings are always out of the roof. And there's certain games where it was just like, it was the Cardinals against the Lions when both teams were terrible, right? And it's just like, who's gonna really watch that on a Thursday? So, if they want to go ahead and put another day, that's fine, but they have to make sure that they're putting enticing games that are gonna allow people to be able to be excited to watch those particular matchups.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the games have to be entertaining, they have to be enticing, and then also too, you have to give players enough time to recover.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why some of these games they're not very good, because the players haven't had enough time to recover. Right. And that's what I see as a major problem, even trying to attempt to get a Friday night games in. It's just that recovery period for the players.
Yeah, they had a lot of pushback on Thursday games saying, there was a lot more injuries, a lot more problems recovering from a game on Sunday, trying to get ready for a following week. It's been, very highly charged up conversations about even Thursday. So adding another day seems kind of crazy, and I hope they don't go there. But speaking of games that they have scheduled this year, there are 14 scheduled games this season that are playoff rematches. First time they've ever had this many. This is pretty cool. They have a rematch of the Super Bowl last year, KC Philly. They have a rematch of both conference games, Bengals Chiefs and 49ers Eagles, and 3 of the 4 wild card battles. So those will be highly contested, very anticipated. A lot of people will be pretty excited. Obviously, the team that got knocked out by the other team will have a bit of a revenge factor to them. And I'm looking forward to a ton of these matchups, and especially Super Bowl 58, which takes place in Vegas. I want all 3 of us to be there in February. So let's put it out to the world, the universe, and let's get 3 seats, 50-yard line, Super Bowl 58. Hopefully our teams will be in there, and we'll have a blast in Vegas for the week.
Sounds good. I need my Cowboys to come through, man. They got a good chance, but we'll see.
Okay. Okay, and I'm gonna say that my Falcons will not be there, and I know that for a fact. So I'll be a little bit.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to cheer on Chargers, Cowboys, Super Bowl 58 in Vegas. Jason, you could just drink and go to see the girls and stuff, and drown your sorrows for your Falcons not making it.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely have to do that, because I see the writing on the wall. How about this? I saw the writing on the wall for the preseason, where I saw Marcus Mariota do stuff that I've just never seen a quarterback do, where I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, man. Have you played this game before? I thought you have,
but Falcons are another story for another day. But it's rough there. It's not going to happen. Okay, let's talk about the Cowboys right now. While we have you here, we can have this discussion. There's 32 teams in the NFL. 31 of them have decided that they need a general manager, and they think that's the best way to go about making sure you have a great roster and a perfect team to take you to the Super Bowl. And there's one that has decided, no, we don't need that. We just can run it our way. And who do you when you grew up, Barry, your grandfathers, what did you call them? Pops? Did you call them Gramps, Grandpa? Grandpa, okay. Is Jerry Jones kind of do you call him Grandpa? Because for some reason you're a Cowboys fan because you love Grandpa Jerry Jones and his way of creating this roster and this team that just hasn't had any success since the mid-90s as far as playoff success and being able to take it all the way. I know Grandpa Jones is just not the answer, but I think you think he is.
You know what it is? I think that winning cures all, right? So the fact that we have this long layoff of the Cowboys not being in an NFC championship game, that is going to leave people to be able to criticize Jerry Jones, right? But let's go ahead and look inside of the numbers. Jerry Jones over the last 10 years, I don't think that there's any team that has drafted more Pro Bowlers or potential Hall of Famers in the last decade than the Cowboys have. Right. So they've drafted very, very well. And that's Jerry Jones, that's Will McClay, that's Stephen Jones, that's the whole brain trust over there. So they're doing a good job in regards to putting together a good team. Terrence Steele just signed a 5-year, $86 million extension. I think he's like the third undrafted tackle to get a big deal like that in the history of football. So we're talking about they plucked this guy from obscurity that didn't get drafted, and now he's one of the highest paid offensive linemen in football because they know how to find talent. So it's one of those things where Super Bowl don't grow on trees, man. It's hard. This is a hard game. I think the Cowboys have done a great job over the last 5 years putting together this roster. They have one of the best defenses in football. They have a fringe top 10 quarterback in Dak Prescott. They have a revamped running game. They have, one of the best cornerback tandems in football in regards to Diggs and what's my guy's name from
Stephon Gilmore?
Yeah, Stephon Gilmore. Their safety depth is one of the best in football. They have Micah Parsons. So there's a lot of good things that they're doing here. And it's just a matter of time before they end up in another title game. Am I saying that they're going to win a Super Bowl? No, but they have the talent to be able to get to where they want to be. And, whether people like Jerry or they don't like Jerry, you have to give Jerry some credit for that.
Okay. Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, well, you know what? Jerry built that arena. It's probably one of the best, if not the best in the NFL. And he did that because he built up the Cowboys to be what they are today. Right. And all the Cowboys got to do is just got to show up. And what Dak needs to work on or just try to focus on is just not throwing the ball to the other team as much. That's what you got to do. If you can do that, Cowboys are going to be great.
What's funny about that, Jason, is that, everybody's making a big deal about Trey Lance joining the team and Jerry Jones not talking to Dak Prescott about it or Mike McCarthy. And, I said on my show, I said, why does Jerry Jones need to speak to Dak Prescott about anything in regards to roster moves? I'm the GM. I'm the owner. I can bring in anybody I want to bring in. Your job is to play quarterback. If you play your job correctly, you don't have to worry about Trey Lance. You don't have to worry about Cooper Rush. But if you start to worry about the guys behind you and you start to be in your feelings, then maybe you are not the quarterback that I need. So, that's all it is. Pressure either makes diamonds or bust pipes, right? So it's that's what it's all about. It's time for Dak Prescott to prove that he is the guy to do the job in Dallas. That's all it is. And if he's not the guy, somebody else will be the guy. Trust me.
Yeah. I've got a bookie that said he'll take a bet from me. He's going to give me some pretty good odds that Trey Lance will be the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys at the beginning of next season. And what do you think? Should I place this bet?
I don't think it's going to be that early. I think you're going to have Dak for at least this year and next season as well. After that, all bets are off because his contract is going to be up. They're going to, they're already in negotiations. We'll see how that goes. But Dak likes to keep Jerry at arm's length, and Jerry likes to do business at arm's length when it comes to Dak Prescott as well. So we'll see who wins that particular negotiation, because now Jerry has an ace in the hole. And it's funny how like the circle of life of football comes around, right? Dak Prescott was a 4th-round pick that replaced Tony Romo, who was there for a decade. Jerry Jones traded for Trey Lance, who was a top 3 pick, for a 4th-round pick for a guy that's possibly been here for a decade. So it's very funny that art imitates life sometimes, and maybe Trey Lance is going to have the same type of trajectory that Dak Prescott had when he, supplanted Tony Romo when Tony Romo was still a good quarterback.
Yeah.
So,
did you see how much Dak gets next year on his salary?
Yeah, it's like $60-something million.
Yeah. So
yeah. That's what happens. That's what happens when you keep restructuring deals.
Yeah, I can't see the Cowboys wanting to eat that and have that on the roster as they're trying to construct a Super Bowl potential team. Like 60 million is too much. You get rid of Dak, you get Trey in there, and build it up from there. I just think Dak, if he doesn't win it all or take them at least to the conference championship this year, he's done.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot for Jerry to be able to talk about, but it all hinges on two guys. Is Dak gonna, make sure that he implements or puts his stamp on the starting quarterback position for the Cowboys, that he is the guy? And is Trey Lance going to be able to take the steps necessary to put pressure on the front office to say that we have to make a decision? Because right now, Trey Lance is not good.
Yeah.
And he needs to be able to sit there, understand how to play quarterback. He needs to get some reps. So next off season, come preseason, he needs to be taking all the first team snaps so he can be able to get as much playing time as possible. So, it hinges on both of those guys. Both guys have to develop in a certain way. Dak has to go to another level, and Trey Lance has to be an NFL quarterback. So, it really factors into those two things, and then Jerry can be able to make a decision from there. But I think the Cowboys have a great chance of, getting far this season.
Yeah. I think the Cowboys defense is absolutely amazing. And I think, that's to me the strength of their team. I think Tony Pollard finally having, the ball for sure and being able to be that elite guy. I think that's going to be great. I don't think Mike McCarthy calling the plays is a smart move. He was acting strange this preseason. He called a play that wasn't even in their playbook, and he didn't seem to be comfortable with the play calling quite yet. Did you notice that, Jason, in the preseason? I don't know if it's going to be smart having him call the plays, and it hasn't been something he's been doing for many years.
I was kind of surprised at it because I thought they would just bring in an offensive coordinator just to deal with that so he can just focus on the head coaching duties. So I don't know how it's going to work for him going forward. Like, especially preseason is where you iron out all the kinks. So maybe him calling a phantom play that doesn't exist. All right, well, that happened. Part of the process of me ironing things out, right? Part of the process of me trying to figure things out. So it should be interesting to see.
Yeah. Same division. Josh Harris and Mitch Rales have taken over the Washington Commanders ownership, finally getting Dan Snyder out of there. And they have talked about getting rid of this Commanders name, thankfully. Name that I just think is stupid and disgusting and weird. Hated the Redskins name, hate the Commanders maybe just as much. Do you think that we'll see them change the name and change the entire culture where Washington could finally be relevant again in the world of football?
I don't necessarily hate the Commanders' name. If they want to change it, change it. I like the Washington football team too. I like the Redskins. Like, if it's offensive, I think I've heard that a lot of the Native Americans don't really necessarily care about the Redskins name. It's not that super offensive to them anymore. If they want to go back there, that's what the history is. Whatever they decide, I think, the most important thing about this franchise is that they have new ownership. They have a new vision. Magic Johnson and Josh Harris are, they've already started to make plans about, revamping the stadium and possibly, getting a new one down the line. But, the good things are on the horizon for whatever Washington wants to call themselves. They got a good young defense there. Sam Howell, I think he's very underrated. I think he's going to have a pretty good season. Do I think the Commanders on a whole are going to have a good season? No, but they're going to take steps in the right direction. And, they're getting there. It's going to take them at least, I say, 2 years to actually be a viable team.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think one of the first hurdles they got over was getting a new owner.
Yeah.
And I'm good with them changing the name of the team just to erase the smear that is Dan Snyder, get that bad taste out their mouth. Start anew, start fresh. I hope they do all of those things, but I think they're definitely on a better trajectory than what they were, and I think they're going to be way better for it going forward.
Were you at all shocked that there was talk out of camp that Eric Bieniemy was being mean, and they were crying because he was being too tough on them? that was pretty hilarious to me to see how big of pussies they were being. The coach was yelling at me, and I wasn't happy.
Okay, well, first off, Coach Ron Rivera, he knows exactly who he hired.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Bieniemy was like pretty upfront saying, I'm going to coach him hard. Some feelings might be hurt. You okay with that, Ron? It's like Ron's like, go for it. Go do what you need to do. Because like the offense needs to be productive this year. And so if you got to coach him hard, man. And I think in the end, it's going to be very beneficial for them because Bieniemy, I believe at one point was playing for the Kansas City Chiefs. And Mahomes is even spoke up and took up for him and saying, that guy will always have your back.
Oh, yeah.
He coached me hard. So that means coach you guys hard. All right. And you're going to be better off for it. Go ahead, Ben.
I agree with Jason, man. I think that any player that's on the Commanders that wants to complain about Eric Bieniemy coaching him hard, there's a reason why you guys are losers. It's a reason why you guys don't have certain things in your DNA or how you prepare for football games that are going to, make you successful is because you have a losing mentality. If you want to complain about a guy that's won 2 Super Bowls in the last how many years and coached the best quarterback on planet Earth, and you want to complain about being too rough, then you're a loser.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that a lot of people are very comfortable when you're in a losing mindset. You're very comfortable there. You don't want to change because you don't think that you're the problem. Somebody comes in and tells you that you're a problem, then you have a problem with that because nobody wants to hear the truth. The truth hurts. And Eric Bieniemy came in there and said, listen, whatever you guys were doing prior to this, we're not going to do any of that shit. Yeah. Like we're going to make sure that we do things the right way and we're going to play hard. We're going to work hard. We're going to practice hard. And I'm going to maximize your potential. If you don't like that, there's the door. I'm not going anywhere. You will be.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's needed to be done. Jalen Hurts had an amazing year last year, was able to take the Eagles all the way to the Super Bowl. Does he have a progression year or a regression year?
I think he regresses a bit. I think the whole Eagles team on a whole regresses a bit. I think they still have one of the best defensive lines in all of football. They had over 70 sacks last year. Jalen Hurts was pretty good, but he was a little banged up as well. So I think their running attack is a bit different this year. They still have the receivers on the outside that are pretty good, but I think they do regress a bit, not to the point where they're battling for a playoff spot, but I do think that they regress in regards to winning. They go 11-6 this year rather than 13-5 or whatever it was they went last season. I think they take a little step back, but they're still going to be a good team.
Jason?
Yeah, I agree with that because like last year for the defense, they had 4 different players in double-digit sacks. But this year they lost Javon Hargrave, who's no longer with the group. So their defense is going to suffer from that a little bit. And also, too, I think, like for any team that reaches it to the summit, gets to the Super Bowl, now other teams will circle you on their date and say, all right, we're going to be ready for the Eagles this time around. We're going to give them our best. Right. And that can dictate wins and losses as well.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts, 5 years, $255. It's going to hurt any team when they got to pay their quarterback that kind of money. And you're right. They lost, a bunch of guys. They lost Hargrave. They lost Miles Sanders, TJ Edwards. They were decimated a bit, but they've got the best O-line and the best D-line. So, when you got those great lines, you're not going to take much of a regression. And I think Hurts, will be probably the most game plan quarterback against. So they're going to try to figure out how he had his success last year, how we're going to make sure he doesn't have the success this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a little bit of talking about the NFC East. Let's just talk about the Giants too. Saquon Barkley had such a breakout, great comeback year last year. Daniel Jones, one of those guys that's sort of in the same level as Dak Prescott in my mind, 10 to 15th best quarterback in the NFL. Can this team take another step up? The Giants, after kind of a surprising year last year, having a success 9-7-1 and making the playoffs.
I think that they can be able to take a marginal step forward. I mean, Dable in his second year, obviously he's going to be a little better in regards to how to be able to be a head coach and how to command that team and get everybody ready. So in that aspect of, they're definitely going to be marginally better. Saquon Barkley proved that he can stay healthy last season. So you can expect that, that can be the thing going forward this year as well. Daniel Jones got the big contract. So, there's going to be a lot riding on him to be able to show what he can be able to do. They drafted Jalen Hyatt, in the draft. That's one of the best receivers in that draft out of Tennessee. So, they have some pieces, man, that are, and defensively, they're not that bad either. So I think everything for them, if they can be able to stay healthy, they can max out at 11 wins and see what happens. But I think that they finished somewhere in between where they finished last year in regards to 9-8, 10-7, somewhere around that. But if things can break correctly, they can possibly see themselves, falling into 11 wins.
Yeah, their offensive line, there's a couple question marks there. Evan Neal definitely needs to be better for their offensive line. They're going to be starting a rookie in John Smits Jr. at center. So their offensive line does have some question marks, but where they definitely are going to be better is at the tight end position since they got Darren Waller. So he should be a major contributor to their offense.
If healthy.
If healthy.
Yeah. I was shocked the Raiders moved on from him, but health has played a concern. So do we see the division staying the same as it did last year? Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, and Commanders in that order, or are your Cowboys going to be able to take the division crown this year?
Well, I think the Cowboys are going to win the division. I think I have them going 13-5, winning that division. They're top to bottom the best team in the NFC to me.
Okay.
You have the 49ers. I know the 49ers, a great defense, but I will take Dak Prescott slightly over Brock Purdy. Slightly. And with that, I think the Cowboys have a great chance. I think they win the division, like I said, at 13-5.
12-5 it would have to be. It would have to be 12-5.
Excuse me, 12-5. That's what it's 12-5 or 13-4. Which one of the things that I picked. Okay. So I think that they're just head and shoulders above everybody in that division. They have the best defense, best pass rush. Adding Brandon Cooks to the team. If Michael Gallup can be able to step up and do his thing. Tony Pollard coming off of a really good season, getting hurt in the playoffs was unfortunate, but he's back 100% now. You got Deuce Vaughn, the rookie that everybody is raving over. So, they have a lot of things. Even if Dak Prescott decides to struggle a little bit, I think they have enough to be able to kind of still get themselves through the regular season. They have a tough schedule the first few weeks of the season. So, if they can be able to kind of get through that, I think it's all roses from them from there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Eagles actually come out on top. I think because it's going to be close between the two of them, between the Eagles and the Cowboys. I think it's going to be super close. But I would myself give the edge to the Eagles. Even though they lost Sanders, I think they did add DeAndre Swift to their running back core. So, I still see them as the team to beat.
Yeah. Okay, NFC West. Last year, the Niners kind of ran away with it. Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant, and somehow he was able to take this team to, shocking results and places that they didn't think of. But this team is just so well built and has just so many weapons on offense and great defense. This is a tough team, and I think one of the teams to beat in the NFC again this year. Jason.
Yeah, go ahead, Barry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Barry.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think the 49ers will win the NFC West fairly easy as well. They're going to be somewhere in between the 13-4, 12-5, record. I got the Seahawks coming in second. I think the Seahawks are pretty good. They're gonna kind of pick up where they left off. Geno Smith had a great year. They have some decent parts, so somewhere between 10-7 for them. And then everybody kind of fills it out after that. I think
Yeah,
the Rams.
Rams
Yeah,
look like they've been decimated.
yeah.
That Super Bowl run. Sean McVay, I think, made a mistake coming back because this team is just looking pretty terrible, I think.
Well, I mean, what you're seeing right now from them is the end result of them cashing in all of those first round picks and them really going for it. Listen, they won a Super Bowl. So you can't really say that it was for nothing, right? Like they got the Super Bowl. Guys got injured a lot last year. Stafford was hurt. Kupp was hurt. Aaron Donald has taken a step back due to age. Like he's not the best defensive player in the league, but he's still up there, right? Yeah. Jalen Ramsey, it was just not effective last year. So there was a lot of things that kind of went bad for them, and it happens, right? They're not as talented offensively as they were a few years ago. They're not as talented defensively as they were a few years ago. So, maybe they'll have some guys that step up and shock us, and then they'll have some production. Like, Cooper Kupp is hurt. Maybe Van Jefferson takes that step up and shows that he can possibly be a wide receiver one. Who knows? Right. So we'll see. They're kind of a mystery. They can be able to finish anywhere between 8-9, 9-8, but they can literally, if they have another rough season, they can go 7-10 as well. Yeah. So, it really depends on what guys can be able to stay healthy and how they can be able to get through the tough part of their schedule. In regards to the other team, we don't even have to talk about them. I don't even think that they're going to get a win this year. That's just me. I think they go 0-17.
Wow.
The Cardinals. I think they don't win a game. They don't win a game.
That would be crazy.
Wow. 0-17. Well, possibly. It might possibly happen. Happen. But for the 49ers, I'm kind of interested in how Purdy is going to look after having that surgery on his elbow, the Tommy John surgery. Like, just how the ball looks, like, just how it goes for him going forward. So that's one thing I'd be definitely keeping an eye on. And also, too, like for the 49ers defense, whenever Nick Bosa comes back, their defense actually got better because they did add that guy that left the Eagles, Javon Hargrave. Mm-hmm. So they got yet another pass rusher to tear things up there. So I think the 49ers definitely NFC West. Yeah, they're at the top of the division, and unfortunately, the Cardinals are garbage. They are not good. They're just
hot garbage.
Oh yeah, yes, hot garbage. Yes.
I thought they made a good move getting rid of Cliff Kingsbury. I never was sold on his abilities, and I think that was a wise move. But Kyler Murray being hurt for some reason, getting rid of DeAndre Hopkins, and blowing up a lot of their talent. It seems, I don't know what the direction is, trying to rebuild, but they're hot garbage for sure.
They're not very good. They're not very good.
I'm looking forward to the Seahawks again. We get decimated with Seahawks coverage from all of the local channels around here. A lot of Seahawks fans locally here, and Geno Smith blew everybody's mind last year. Did something that nobody was expecting, and they were able to add a lot of good pieces. Great to see Bobby Wagner back. I know he's lost a step or two, but I think he's such a crucial piece from that Legion of Boom side to be able to be a veteran presence and knowledgeable to bring a lot of these young guys and show them the way to have success and make this defense good. And I like the direction the Seahawks are going in, and I think they're a playoff team again this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm excited about the prospects of going to some playoff games. 2-hour drive for us, and we'll be able to see some good Seahawks action. NFC North, Vikes. We mentioned it earlier. Lions look like the class of the division. Vikes are going to take a step back. What was it, like 9 of their wins? 10 of their wins were one score victories by like 1, 2, 3 points. They were just so fluky lucky last year.
And
You're
they had
right.
a light schedule as well.
Yeah, they lost Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen, two super big weapons. Jefferson, to me, is the best receiver in the game right now. But does this team to me takes quite a few steps back from a year that seemed to just everything went right for them.
Yeah, I agree. We talked about it earlier, and I think they take a step back, and the Lions are the toast of the conference, or excuse me, the division.
The division,
yeah.
Jason,
Yeah, they better pray that Justin Jefferson doesn't get hurt this season, because if he does, there goes their offense. I'm serious about that. Their offense will completely crater and tank if he gets hurt. And then also on top of that, somebody else in the wide receiving core is going to have to step up in a big way, because he's going to be double teamed every game.
Yeah.
From week one jump all the way to the end, he's going to be double teamed all the time. So,
what do you think we see from Jordan Love? Do you think he's going to be a very good NFL quarterback, or just average?
I think average. I don't think that the Packers are going to be any good this year.
Okay.
I think you can expect them to be anywhere between 5-12 and 6-11. I think Jordan Love, it's going to be a rough year for him. It was a rough year for Aaron Rodgers last year.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be a rough year for him as well. As well as that entire offense. So, we'll see how it goes. We've never really seen the kid, right? So he's been there for a few years, and hopefully he knows the offense enough to be able to handle it. But I just don't see that there's enough talent around that particular team to be any good.
And on top of that, they lack experience with all their receivers. Like, they got two receivers that are second-year pros, and Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson, and everybody else is a rookie.
Yeah.
That's problematic.
Yeah, well, when Rodgers left, he took Alan Lazard and Robert Tunyon and whoever else was his buddies, and sort of decimated that team. They did make quite the deal getting lots from the Jets, and I think that will develop over the coming years. And I think they're on the right track, but losing Aaron Rodgers, will really harm them. I love Justin Fields with Chicago. Last year they were 3-14, and really a dumpster fire there. But I love Justin Fields as long as they give him the ability to play the position like he should be able to. I think this guy's going to be one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL one day.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I need to see more from him throwing the football to be able to kind of get an idea of what he's going to be. I mean, he can't run like that his entire career. At some point, you're going to need to sling it a bit. Yeah. The addition of DJ Moore should help. They have Darnell Mooney, they have Colt Kmet. So they have some guys on the outside, as well as can't remember that kid on the Steelers that they traded for last season. What is his name? I'll remember it.
Oh, you're talking about the Abbotsford guy, right?
No, he's a wide receiver.
Chase Claypool.
Yeah, Chase Claypool, right?
Yeah.
So they have some weapons out there to be able to give the kid. So it's up to him to see if he can be able to stand tall in that pocket, take those hits and deliver the football, and see if he can give his wide receivers a chance to make some plays rather than just tucking in and running every time. You have to learn how to take some hits in that pocket and be able to still deliver that football. So, we'll see.
Also, too, the head coach has to give him the ability to do that.
Right.
Like, not because sometimes these guys will be like, you have to manage the game better. Instead, just give him the opportunity to go play the game, learn, and then, like you said, try to develop the skills so that he can throw correctly in the pocket. Right. So, yeah.
NFC South, all four teams finished below 500 last year. The Bucks won the division at 8-9. The other three teams were 7-10. Terrible division. Don't see any of them stepping up and being great this year. Maybe the only team that made such a good acquisition possibly was the Saints, with Derek Carr coming in there. Experienced guy who has some weapons there. Hopefully with Michael Thomas being healthy again, maybe he can be a good weapon for them. But the Falcons, Desmond Ridder, I don't know what we're going to see from him. Bryce Young, obviously highly touted, but coming in on his rookie year, don't know what he's going to have. And then Baker Mayfield in Tampa. So what do we see out of this division? Is it going to be as lousy this year as it was last year?
Yep, and it's going to be worse than it was last year. I think that Derek Carr and the Saints are the toast of that division. I think they can win 10 games. I think Derek Carr is, a lot of people don't respect Derek Carr, but he's a really good football player, man. He's a guy that is very passionate about the game. His teammates love him. He's not Joe Namath, but he's also not, Rex Grossman. He's a decent average quarterback that can be able to win some football games for you. So with the weapons that they have, Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, the tight end Johnson, when Kamara gets back from his suspension, they have some pieces there that they can be able to build on, and having a quarterback that you can be able to rely on to be able to, be in there and to trust. They don't have a Taysom Hill to be quarterback. Taysom Hill can be the gadget guy that he's always been. They don't have what's his name? Jameis Winston to just turn the ball over and make mistakes. They have a professional quarterback back there that they can be able to trust to make plays. We've seen Derek Carr pretty much will those Raiders at points to the playoffs. He can do the same thing to this team. So, I think that they're going to win this division and win it pretty easily.
Yeah, and I'll just mention something about my Falcons. They do have players. They do have skilled players.
They do.
Algier, 1,000-yard rusher. They still have Cordarrelle Patterson. They have the offensive option of Bijan Robinson that they picked up as a number 8 pick. And
Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts, exactly. And then also, too, for the quarterback, Desmond Ridder, I'll say this at least. The man takes care of the football. Since he started for first 4 games, 115 passes, no interceptions.
Nice.
So at least he has that going for him.
Right.
They make big ads in free agency as well. They got Bud Dupree over there. They got Calais Campbell, Jesse Bates. Brought in a ton of guys. They brought in some guys on offense as well, Scotty Miller and Johnny Smith. I was pretty impressed with their offseason. I sort of went like, wow, they're actually surrounding him. Desmond Ridder, I don't know, huge amount about, and I'm not sure how he stands up for an entire season, but I was impressed with their acquisitions and their free agent signings in the offseason.
Yeah, now they have definitely put in some pieces to be able to give that kid a chance. Desmond Ridder is a smart quarterback, man. He's very smart. He's very decisive in what he wants to do. It's just about time. Right, you just got to give him time to be able to develop and get that confidence to be the leader that they want him to be.
Yeah. What do you think from Bryce Young? Are we going to see him a pretty decent quarterback this year? Are we going to see him live up to this hype?
I think he struggles a lot, but that's okay because you want to throw him in there with the Wolves with a bad football team. He's going to go through his growing pains, and you're going to watch that on TV every week. So, he's going to have some flashes where he looks like the number 1 pick, and he's going to have some times where he looks like he should not be in the NFL right now. So, it's just one of those things where you just got to have to let him go through it. If he leads the league in interceptions, then so be it. But this is the guy that you've literally, attached yourself to for the next 5, 6, 7, 10 years probably. So you got to give him a chance to be able to go through his growing pains and the ebbs and flows of a season for a young quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just gonna have to preach patience. I agree. They're just gonna have to be patient with him, because I believe even when a certain Peyton Manning came into the league in his rookie season, I think he led the league in interceptions.
Man, almost threw 30 interceptions in 1 year.
Sounds like Jameis Winston. They had made some big ads. They added Miles Sanders, DJ Chark, Adam Thielen, and Andy Dalton was a good pickup as a veteran behind Bryce Young. I thought that was a smart move. Hayden Hurst is there. A lot of pretty decent players on offense there for Carolina. We'll see how they can come together. AFC East now, let's talk about them. Buffalo Bills. should run away with the division again. Josh Allen is one of the top players considered for the MVP. Now we've got a battle between the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Patriots. I think the Jets take a step up with Aaron Rodgers and all the moves that they made. They're kind of going all in this year to try to win it. We're not going to have a huge window of Aaron Rodgers, but I'm not sure where the Dolphins go. They've got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, two of the maybe top 5 receivers in the game. So pretty potent offense there, and good running backs. And the Patriots, I think they round out the bunch. But where do you see this division going?
Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, I think that the Bills. I do think the Bills are gonna win as well. I had them winning the division at 12-5 or maybe 11-6, depending on, a lot of people saying that their window is closing. They still have enough to be able to win the division. The Jets are gonna make the playoffs, whether it be at 10-7 or 11-6. With Aaron Rodgers and the weapon, there's not many teams out there that have the weapons that the Jets have. And the Jets have one of the scariest defenses in football. Yeah. They have a top 2 defense, not just a top 5. They have a top 2 defense. Yeah. So, but between them and the 49ers, I don't know which one is scarier. So they have the weapons that they need, and it's about Robert Saleh pushing the right buttons. Aaron Rodgers is going to be there. He has the weapons, so they're going to take a step up. I said this on my show. And, I'm going to stick with this particular mindset. I think that the AFC East, as well as one other division, are going to have 4 teams that have winning records. Wow. I think the Patriots are going to have a winning record. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but I think that the Patriots have enough to be able to win 9 or 10 games this season, because what do all of these teams in this division have in common? They all have a solid defense. Right. Every single one of them. Right. The Dolphins have improved defensively. The Bills have always been good defensively. The Jets have taken drastic steps in the positive direction, and the Patriots are still solid defensively. So all of these teams have good defenses, which means that they're going to beat up on each other, and they're going to beat up on some low-level teams in the AFC as well, and possibly all of them are going to have winning records.
Yeah, I agree with that, because just looking at the Jets, their defense, 10-man defensive rotation that they have. They got 2 lockdown corners in Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. And then last year, they allowed the league low of 15 touchdown passes. 15. Like that's as good as it gets.
17 game season, 15 TDs. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's as good as it gets, man. So I think Rodgers is definitely in a good position in that way. And then also, too, offensively, finally, they're getting back Breece Hall for the running back position. So that's good. For the Bills, I hope they get off to a good start. There's a little bit of a question mark there. Like, if they don't start off well, I wonder, is the relationship between Diggs and Allen going to rear its ugly head again with that thing that they had going on there? Right. If they don't get off to a good start. So that's my only question with the Bills. I think they will eventually get to the top seeded position in the East, in the AFC East, but they might not even, depending on how that goes.
Right. I loved seeing Damar Hamlin make this roster and come back. That to me was so great. We talked earlier in the preseason that he might not make the roster, but when they made that decision that he did, very heartwarming and great. The guy can come back from such a tough thing. And just to me, one of the best stories of the preseason, that he is back playing and he's on this roster. Jason?
I looked at that their situation, and I know it's about business. I get that. I just thought to myself, how could you not bring that guy back? Period. Like, regardless of like your position or whatever it is, for myself, if I was the GM, I'm like, is he good enough to make the team? Like, as long as he's good enough to make the team, yeah, then he's definitely coming back. Yeah. Like, no question he's coming back. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear that he did. I'm glad to hear that he made it.
Yep, same. I agree.
DJ Reed said this Jets defense is going to be as good as the 85 Bears and the 2013 Legion of Boom Seattle Seahawks. Going to be one of the greatest defenses that's ever been assembled. That was his call.
Listen, we're going to see, but they have the talent to do so. So we'll see.
AFC West, obviously dominated by the Chiefs for many years. They will probably win the division again, but Chargers are going to start giving them a run for their money. Justin Herbert has assembled a good defense around him. And then we've got the Raiders and then the Broncos. Chiefs, we talked about them off the top. What do you think about the Chargers? They had that heartbreaking choke in the playoffs, but hopefully they've been able to figure that out there and take another step forward. 10-7 last year. Another win or two for this franchise.
Yeah, I think they can be able to either finish the same or, another win or two. But, the biggest hurdle that they have to overcome is the idiot brain coach that they have in Brandon Staley. It's one of those guys that, if they continue to have him ruin or waste some of the prime years of Justin Herbert's career, you can't get those back. No. So, they really have to start evaluating him this season. If they can't take that step in the right direction, then it might be time for him to go as well. They have great pieces offensively, defensively, leaves a little bit to be desired, but they have Justin Herbert. And when you have a guy like that, you're always going to be in a football game.
Yeah, because Herbert's not the problem. That's for damn sure. He is definitely not the problem. In 3 seasons, Herbert has thrown for 14,089 yards. That's most in the NFL. And he's second in touchdown throws with 94, only behind Dan Marino.
Yeah.
So he's definitely not the problem. No. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, Barry, that they're going to have to put him on notice. It's like, okay, so you actually have the team. Got all the pieces that you need. Now you need to coach these guys so that we have a great end result.
Right.
Totally. That's it. How's Jimmy G going to do in Vegas?
I think he's going to do fine, man. I think the fact that, he's now reunited with his favorite offensive coach in regards to Josh McDaniels, when they were with the Patriots, he had some of his best success there. And that's why he got the big bag from San Francisco, because he looked so good when he was with the Patriots. So now he has that comfortability again, and it's going to be great, man. I think they're not going to be this juggernaut world beater, but they're going to be much better than they were last season, right? So I think that they can be able to finish 9-8, given, the fact that they have still, I think, is the best wide receiver in football in Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow. If he can be able to stay healthy, they have the league rusher in Josh Jacobs coming back. They have Max Crosby on defense. So they have some pieces here that they can be able to build on. So, it's a tough division, but I do think that they can be able to carve out, a little place for themselves there.
Can Sean Payton turn this Broncos fiasco around?
Not with Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
He's shot. He is.
Yeah, he's done. It looks like their receiving core has been decimated with injuries as well.
Yeah.
They're going down to their 4th, 5th, 6th stringers. So this is not going to be good. And Russell Wilson. There was always that talk between Bill and Tom, who was the reason why they had so much success, and now there was talk about Pete and Russ. What led to the Seahawks success, and it's gonna probably go in Pete's favor if Russ has another really tough year here. And
listen,
it's ousted out of Denver.
Pete Carroll can be able to play better quarterback than Russell Wilson right now at this point. You see them in preseason, man. How in practice how you look. Pete Carroll's out there looking good.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Man, he did look good.
Man, it's 73 years old, man. 73 years old out there slinging it.
That's amazing. Yeah, that was hilarious. Okay, Ravens class of the AFC North because Lamar's there, or Bengals are still taking it?
I picked, in my show, I picked the Ravens. I think that they have a lot of pieces offensively that I like. Defensively, they're always solid, but it's now time for us to see if Lamar can be able to throw that football. Can he be able to sit in that pocket and throw that football 35 times a game?
No.
30 times. If he has that type of talent, then they're going to be scary because we all know that he can run it.
Yeah.
But if he can be able to show that he can throw it as well consistently, it's going to be a problem, man. And I think they're gonna etch their place at the top of that division. That division is the second division that I was talking about in regards to every team possibly having a chance to have a winning record in that division. I think all the teams are really good. The Bengals are good. The Steelers are much improved, and they have a top 5 defense in the league. So do the Browns. The only problem with the Browns that I have is can Deshaun Watson look like a competent quarterback? Because taking years off, it's not a good thing, right? Like, you don't get better taking years off, right? So he didn't look good last year. I don't see that he looked pretty good in preseason, so we'll see if he can be able to turn the tables and be good in the regular season. But I think the Ravens are number 1. I think the Bengals go number 2. I think I have the Steelers at 3, and I have the Browns rounding it out at 4.
Okay. What about you, Jason? You looked shocked when he said Ravens upsetting the Bengals in this division.
Yeah, a little bit, because I still see the Bengals as the top seed in the AFC North. I still see them there. Burrows is still freaking awesome, and then also too, like, just his receiving core is one of the best. Right. Period.
Yeah.
With Higgins and Chase and all of those guys. So, but going back to the Ravens, I understand where he's coming from, because now that he has an improved receiving core with Odell Beckham Jr. and Zay Flowers, you would think that his offensive averages, like how much they score, the Ravens score, should go up, actually. And here's a fun fact: Jackson has averaged, as a starter, 26.9 points, which is literally just just 1 point below Mahomes, who's 27.3.
Wow.
There you
So
go.
now when you think about it, with the more offensive weapons he has, he should be better. Should be better. So.
Yeah, they added Nelson Aguilar there too, and I can't believe it's been this long for the Ravens to finally add some wide receiver help for this guy. It took this many years, and it must have been frustrating for him. He had to run. He was the offense pretty much there. So it's going to be an interesting division. I'm looking forward to every one of these teams. Kenny Pickett's looking good with George Pickens. Deshaun Watson should take a definite step forward. And the Bengals, they have been the class of this division for the last few years. So that's going to be tough. The AFC South is also terrible. The South division in both conferences is bad. I think the Jags likely run away with it. Trevor Lawrence, looks great, and this team's finally rolling into form. And then, the Titans have definitely taken some steps backwards. Texans are terrible, and the Colts got, I think they're one of the worst teams in football and will be as long as Irsay's there. So, this won't be a pretty division to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Jaguars run away with this easily. I think that they finish at 13-4. I think their schedule is pretty light this year, so they're going to do some damage. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to stamp his claim as one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's going to get some MVP consideration this year as well. And, with Doug Peterson being their coach, man, they have a chance. They have a real chance to be able to make some noise in the playoffs. They gave the Chiefs a run for their money in a divisional round. Yeah. So, they can be able to see what if they can be able to get better and build on that. I think they can. So yeah, they're definitely the toast of that division, and we don't necessarily need to talk about anybody else because the rest of the teams, they're just not that great.
No, and also too, I think the Jags did great in picking up Calvin Ridley.
Yeah,
to help the offense.
Big time.
Sure.
Big time.
Like that was a huge pickup for them. One thing I do want to add about the Tennessee Titans: are we going to see Henry regress? Are we going to
Possibly.
see him being worn down? That's I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to that
Yeah,
because
he's built differently, but we have to see that. We have to see it.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say likely because he has been that bell cow type of back for so many years that he's probably worn down, and like Barry says, the clock's ticking from college. You get those carries, and then you carry them into the NFL, and you're starting getting hundreds and hundreds of carries. This starts wearing you down, and he probably will take another step back. So. It's going to be an interesting NFL season. I'm really excited about it, as always. I think, there's so many new storylines, so many new faces in different places. And, it's not going to be the same thing we saw last year. I think there's new teams emerging. And that's the one great thing about the NFL with the salary cap, the way they have it. You can see a team going from worst to first and a team that's up there going down. So there's constant movement and change, and it makes it pretty exciting. A lot of parity in the league, as always.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's going to be a fun season. Everybody's waiting for football. I have a fantasy draft in like 4 minutes, so I have to get off with you guys, man. But it's always been great. I'm always available if you guys need me to be on any show, man. You guys are great. Keep doing what you're doing, man. And I'm always listening. I'm always watching.
Yeah. Us too, Barry. Appreciate it so much. Good luck in your fantasy draft. Hope you get some really top picks. I got my fantasy draft. I think it's on Wednesday here. So, yeah, I've done some daily fantasy stuff, but now I got to do the year one, and pretty stoked. Good luck. I hope you get whoever you need and kick.
Listen,
how many guys in the draft? How many?
I think in this one, because I have a draft tomorrow and Wednesday as well. So I think this one is 12, I believe. I think it's 12 teams. So, I may just pick Pat Mahomes first round. I don't care. I may just go Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes the first 2 rounds and just call it a day.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Well, listen, man, I
appreciate it so much, Barry. Thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate it as always watching. Thanks for always updating me and let me know you got stuff coming out, and we'll keep in touch as always for sure.
Absolutely, man.
Okay.
I'll see you guys.
Okay, all the best, Barry. Bye for now. Thanks so much. And thanks, Jason, as always, buddy. I appreciate it. That was fun. That was nice. I lasted super long, but I hope you were entertained, and I hope you enjoyed it. It was fun to get the expertise from both of you guys.
How about this? It was long enough that you see the natural light, and now I'm in darkness. It's always good chopping it up. Obviously, with you, great having Barry on. I've had a wonderful time. It's been a great evening.
Good to hear, man. Awesome. Well, thanks as always, and have a great night. Let's text each other a little bit as the game goes on Thursday, and it should be a good week ahead. I have your charger you lent me, so I got to drop it off at your house over the coming days. So I'll give you a call and make sure you're around, and I'll do that. Keep in touch. We'll talk soon.
All right, sounds good, man. You take it easy.
All right, you too. Bye for now. Okay, well, that was amazing as always. He's right. It went from light to dark. Jason was getting in the darkness there, and it was a long podcast, almost 3 hours, but I hope you loved it. I hope you appreciated it, and we sure loved doing it. It was great to have both those guys breaking down the NFL season ahead. It's going to be amazing. So, take care of yourself. Have a great week ahead, and enjoy the football. Enjoy the UFC coming up from Australia and everything else going on. I want to thank our partners and sponsors. I want to thank Anchor. Anchor.fm, the easiest place to make a podcast, great at posting on multiple podcast platforms for us. Verbero, the hockey equipment and apparel company, an industry leader in technology, performance, and value. And the V350 stick is a must-have for any hockey player in your midst. Pampas and Possibilities, great at making your house, sprucing it up, giving it those West Coast vibes that they're famous for. and Forever Living, the aloe vera company for health and beauty products. You can purchase products on our website for discounted rates. So thanks again to all of you and all of them. And love you guys lots. Take care of yourself, and we will talk very soon. Bye for now.